Hello everyone and welcome to today's workshop. We will start in 2 minutes, so to allow some more attendees to join us. Hello everyone and welcome to today's workshop, which is taking a very important topic in the construction industry, which is the digitalization tool for an energy efficient renovation. I am Mohamed Al Ajiri. I am a R&D project manager in R2M solution, and today as we know that we're targeting a very important topic, which is digitalization, and is actually a fact. So no one can now escape from the fact that we have a lot of data is generated, and with the COVID situation and with the amount of dependency now in the digital tools, we have a lot of data that can be collected and can be gathered. But the thing is, we need to take an advantage of that, and we need to transfer this information or this data into a useful information and therefore a positive impact. But the problem in the construction industry is that it is has always been abundant source of information, because it has many problems. It's very old industry, and changing is difficult. And there is also another important factor, that is our capacity to handle or manage to collect this information and transfer it into something useful. So this is a big challenge, as we can see that the industries like ICT or media, they have a most productivity and growth, while in the construction industry is very in the low spectrum here. And this is, of course, the European Commission is realizing all of this. So to tackle these digitalization issues, and also to achieve an industrial leadership, they founded a lot of projects that targeting these issues, especially the digitalization and especially the energy efficient renovation. And today in our workshop, there is 9 of these projects, Horizon 2020, in the framework of Horizon 2020 program. They are all funded to tackle and to deal with this issue. These are our speakers today. We will go through them one by one in each session. And our agenda today, and it is divided almost to 2 sections, each one of them around 90 minutes, and we have a 10 minutes break in the middle. The first 90 minutes will be a presentation about the projects, and then we will go through some of the state-of-the-art tools that is developed within the projects. And then we will have a round table discussion, then where you can also participate as well with questions. And this takes me to the next slide, where you can add your question. You will find this little bar in your screen where you can write this question or raise your hand. You can also find some brochures and materials that for different projects, and you can find also the agenda. After this this workshop, you will receive a link for the recording as well, so you can easily see it anytime and share it as well. So now we will start with the project presentation, and the first project we have today is BIM for Ren, and Antoine from Nopatec, he will present for us this project. He's the coordinator of BIM for Ren.
Thanks a lot for this introduction and for the opportunity to discuss about this topic of the digitalization and of the construction sector, and here more specifically about the renovation of existing buildings. So yeah, I'm Antoine Duguet. I'm coordinating the BIM for Ren project, one of the sisters project of the same topic that initiated a few projects around the same objective, which is how to exploit, let's say, the potential of BIM for the renovation of existing residential buildings. So being the first one to address the topic, I try to have a short introduction related to the current state of the construction sector. As Mohamed just explained, I mean, the productivity is low, one of the lowest compared to other economic activities. So this is one key aspect. One of the key fact is the fact about the labor force, which is quite self-employed, meaning that it's individual and crafters or SMEs, which are actually really the training is low, especially compared to other activities, and the budget for research and development is also one of the lowest. Common figure is to say that it's around or lower 1% of the global revenue of a company. So some have presented the construction sector as a sick patient, and you can draw the parallel with the current situation. But so how do we try to reanimate this construction sector? And just to say that, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities. I mean, although the presentation can be quite sad if you want. Then digitalization is clearly a huge opportunity. I mean, it's been proven that it can improve the efficiency, related time, cost, added value of the construction sectors, being new buildings or renovation. It allows to improve the energy and environmental performance, and to also reduce, the gap between what is design and what is the real consumption, real impact of those buildings. So this is first key fact. I mean, it has potential. Then there are existing technologies, lots actually, but those are not really used, again, due to low training, but also maybe the access to those, access being referring to the cost, the time to use it, the skills that are needed. I mean, the access is too low. So we need to upskill the construction workforce. And then in this kind of cloud, just to some few, buzzwords, or I mean, serious topics, but to show that there are lots of potential for further research and development activities that can further improve the digitalization, but not only, I mean, improve the efficiency of this construction sector. So one could say there are two options for the current companies being in this sector. It's either to anticipate and progress on this digitization, or one could say that we can still have time to wait, but soon enough it will be required to be at this kind of level. So shortly phrased, one could say it's either about modernizing or dying. So as back for the BIM for Rent projects. So as you all know, the existing buildings are responsible for huge part of the current energy consumption across Europe. So this is one thing, and obviously that's to be crossed with the fact that currently the renovation level is around 1%, and so 1% of the current buildings are renovated each year. It should be around 3. I mean, those are the objectives set by the European Commission. And a figure which is associated to that is the fact that if we stay at this 1% renovation level in 2050, I mean, the buildings that we will use, I mean, 85% of those already exist. It shows that how important is it the fact that we need to tackle those existing buildings. And then the construction sector, as said, has really low productivity, low use of digital use of digital tools and so on. So yeah, for sure, we need to provide those kind of tools, especially to those companies, to those handcrafters. So we need to put adapted tools in the hand of those kind of construction actors. And so BIM is clearly one huge potential to trigger this digital revolution. And here, obviously, but you'll understand that we consider BIM as its two main, let's say, definition. First, about this collaborative process to manage, to design and manage a building, and then also as a way to represent information, the information that describes the building as it is, as it was, as it will be. So it should allow for more efficient, collective, and integrated design amongst all stakeholders. So now our concept, pretty short and pretty simple. I mean, for all renovation project, we'll start by an existing building. So there's still a lot of information to go either off-site or on-site, but to collect this information about what year it was built, what's the local regulation, what's the current energy performance, and so on, geometry, obviously, and so on and so on. So we need to collect this information. Once this information is collected, obviously, along the project, we need to manage this information. So we need to create this BIM model. We need to organize it. We need to secure it, and then to allow for its exploitation. And so this is a third main step, which is about the data-driven design, where we are going to contemplate different renovation scenarios and assess those, and obviously not only just provide a bunch of information, but how to present it so as it helps in the decision making. So yeah, and then obviously what we want to do is not so much about providing one single tool or just a series of tools to be used, but how to provide an access to those tools to a potential user. So in the project, we have more or less 32 developments, which are categorized in along those typologies of data collection, data management, data-driven design for different kinds of services. And then also important is the fact that some of these tools are free, easy to use, and while others are clearly more experts and not free actually. So a wide range of tools. And so what we did is to draw a generic workflow for the renovation. So this is a more complex version, but it can be simplified as 4 to 5 steps, which is about this planning, initial planning, the data gathering, diagnosis, and the conceptual design, backbone by a continuous data management. Okay, and what we do is on top of this more general analysis, obviously, and I don't go into details, we have 3 specific use cases, one in Spain, France, and one in Italy, which are quite complementary by their sizes, by their typologies, but more importantly, even by the stakeholders in the project that are related to this. For example, in Spain, we have a SME, which specializes in the renovation and the facade renovation of existing building. So this is one strong focus. In France, another one it's a social housing organization that manages 50,000 dwellings and will manage the whole part of the, a big part of the project where decisions are taken. And the last one in Italy is related to the architect firms and the general company, so AT and CMB. So quite complementary analysis. And I'll go really quick again as a way to open the door of this conference. But if we follow this workflow applied more or less to France, this is how we try to work. For example, say strategic planning, we have some tools about management of a building stock portfolio. But then about the data gathering, for example, in the case of Paris, what we can do is use one tool, which is called Master, which allows to exploit existing information, mainly textual information, all those reports, revisit reports, or those documents that are delivered once a building is built. So how to scan, extract, and organize this information has to identify user information. This is one of the tools. And then another one is WiseBeam. Based on 2D layouts, it will automatically, using AI, it will elevate, let's say, this 2D layout into a BIM model. Obviously, it is enriched. It will automatically recognize certain types of system, BIM objects. And so we have this kind of information. Those are 2 examples. Obviously, some other more information, that inputs coming from different stakeholders. And one other tool, and it is a link to one of the demo that will be done afterwards. So the LOD lifter is one tool developed by the CSTB that will manage the data. The data especially of the BIM model, but it will allow, one of the features that we are interested in too is the fact that it allows to update quite easily the BIM model, as to select an object and go to an external database and browse, let's say, different types of windows, for example, and select those and then update this information on the BIM model. So this is one information and one tool, and the one is more generally BIM to BIM, developed by BIM, that allows from this IFC model how to then be able to run some energy simulation. So so this is what we call the diagnosis. We are able to describe the building as it is. The next step, So if I put all on the left, and then we consider the design phase, okay, so we have complementary inputs, such as what can we consider for the renovation, and so we are going to obviously define the potential modification, the potential renovation, has to define those renovation scenarios that will be then create a series of simulation that will be run. In our case, one of the main tools that we use is ISVE, and then coupled with multi-criteria analysis, and also one key aspect, which is obviously with a strong consideration to interface, how to retrieve, how to display the data to the decision makers. So this is more or less what we are trying to do, and a bit of the way to conclude this introduction, let's say. And this is not, I don't think it's specific to BIM for REN, but one of the barriers is, okay, IFC as it is now, without entering too much details, we all know that there is information that we cannot store. So it's either every one of us creates its own models, or so this is one first discussion about this extension and barriers discussion, and how to exploit, for example, ontologies and linked data is one possibility. And then the other one is this BIM to BIM step, how to extract this information from a BIM model, and information about the context, the geometry obviously, but also about materials and systems, how to make it available for energy simulation platforms. And then obviously standardization. I mean, we are all going to do some developments and to push for this, but we have to also share a common framework. This is one strong aspect of BIM, I mean, with the IFC, with standards. And one with maybe a bit more personal, but we will maybe reflect on that at the end of this session, I mean, of this conference. It's we are trying to create a perfect solution, the perfect tool that will allow this energy efficient renovation. But either you go for a single platform, you know, maybe Revit or whatever, but with a lot of modules, but yeah, maybe too complex, I mean, expensive. How come a small company could use it? And another one, okay, we can say, and even it's all view, but to say, oh, okay, we are going to have an environment, network, everything is interoperable, but as you can understand, it also leads to different kind of complexity. So yeah, how do we settle with solutions which are, in the end, the key objective is those need to be used. And that will be it for my presentation. So back to you, Mohamed.
Thanks, Antoine. Now we will move to Bruno Daniotelli from Politecnico di Milano, and he will present for us BIM for EEP project.
Okay, thank you, Mohamed. If you give me the right, I can start with my presentation.
If I may, Mohamed, it's
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, now we can see your screen.
I suppose now you can see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I introduce our project, European project. The focus is, of course, to present the solution up to now for the BIM-based toolkit for efficient renovation of buildings. And about that, the goal, of course, is to develop the toolkit as we have seen the need for more efficient information and The goal is to gain, of course, working time and improving our performance quality, and the focus for some parts of the tools is related with the involvement of the chief stakeholders and the inhabitants, the owners of the buildings, construction companies, and facility manager. A specific tool is developed in Sweden related with the reconstruction of BIM models of existing buildings with laser scanners and specific scanners, integrating also semantic data and link data. Finally, the goal is to develop an operational platform as a central repository of information organized as a common data environment. The partners can be, of the consortium, can be divided into big groups. One is representing the stakeholders of the whole process, a group of owners, in particular Region Lombardy and Solentel, one for public and one for private sector, and a group of asset and facility manager. Other is for social housing in Italy, but we have Poland and in Finland, Caverian, and the representative of the architects as for the designers steps. And on the other side, we have group, well, the first group is defining the needs and requirements for information. And on the second group, we have tools developers as for private, but with involvement of research centers and universities. About the research center, VTT in Finland, RISE in Sweden, and IRC in Ireland, and of course the university as Politecnico, Dresden, and CORE. The goal is to develop an interoperable platform based on the exchange of data using IFC standards and managing the different tools integrated in the platform in order to manage the renovation process in an efficient digital way. So the tools, the set of tools is dedicated to the survey for fast mapping of existing buildings, not only for the geometry, but also for the equipments, the lines, and so on in the walls and the technologies. Another group of tools is for managing the automation, the bugs and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning information with BIM, and tools for the energy analysis, BIM analysis, in order to manage energy information throughout the whole process. Another group of tools is dedicated to the construction planning and tracking in order to manage the intervention on the buildings, involving, of course, a facility manager, asset manager, and the operators in the management, and on the other side, the involvement of the inhabitants as to manage the occupation of the spaces, of the rooms, and for the involvement for the energy and comfort analysis for the performance evaluation. At this moment, we have developed in the phase one the definition of requirements based on the involvement of the chief stakeholders, so a big group of construction and service companies, designers, owners, and inhabitants. And on the other side, we have developed a strong research about linked data and ontologies in order to be used in the management of data throughout the process. In the phase two, now we are going to the tools development, and there has been the first release of the toolkit with the BIM management system, the augmented reality for fast mapping and survey, two tools for the planning, BIM Planner, and BIM for occupants, so the involvement of inhabitants, and other tools for the management of energy aspects and equipment. And this toolkit is to be now demonstrated, applied, is demonstrating on 3 demo sites, one in Italy, which is a big public building of Regione Lombardy, with a complete renovation, a very ancient Poland demo site, private, and in Finland, a specific demo sites focusing on the equipment renovation. About the definition of information requirements, we had a big involvement of stakeholders around Europe in order to define the activities, all the activities, from the initial initiative until the management of the works, involving the stakeholders, step 2, in order to define all the information needs, exchange and share process and workflow, and the requirements, and in order to obtain the optimization of the renovation process. And the result is already published as a public deliverables on the website, as in the form of tables and flowchart, with involvement of stakeholders and comparing the public and private situation for, of course, residential buildings. A particular specific result is related with the development of the digital logbook in order to manage all the information for the management of the asset, involving all the information which is needed for the management. And this is the basis for partial enrichment of the IFC files in the BIM management system. The BIM management systems has already been developed and is linked with our website, and of course object-oriented with graphical information, but relational, involving ontologies and linked data. And a strong effort is about the standardization. So the involvement of starting from the Italian UNI working group of BIM, which is involved in the activity of SAN 442 and ISO, of course, managing the information with particular attention for common data environment in agreement with new standards, ISO 19650 for the common data environment. And this is the development up to now. And what is now the toolkit is managed by the BIM management system, involving the different tools for fast mapping, for planning the activities, the involvement of occupants, BIM for occupants, BIM for energy aspects, Auteras and BIM-CPT for plant and equipment information. All information is given on the website, and of course, if you need more information, there is the email. And tomorrow we will have the conference of our project in sustainable places, and everyone is invited. Later, we will see a video showing the BIM management system in action. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bruno. Very interesting work, especially about the lookbook and the standardization. And we will speak about this maybe later in the round table. Now I will give the control to Timo, that will speak about BIM Speed project, and he's also a sister project of BIM for Ren and BIM for AEB.
Right.
You should have the control now, Timo.
Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me go to the presentation and start it. Oh, need to move that control thing. So now the presentation started, I hope. So yeah, hello everybody, and thanks for organizing this session. I know it was quite difficult to bring all of us under one umbrella, and really great effort that I appreciate that we can present our projects here. I'm Timo Hartmann. I'm professor at the Technical University in Berlin. There I head the Department of Civil Systems Engineering, and I'm also coordinating the BIM Speed project, Harmonized Building Information Speedway for Energy Efficient Renovation. So not going to talk too much about the consortium, just want to acknowledge them by their logos. So as every project, we have a big consortium. You can check on our website who's there. We have three objectives, main objectives. So the BIM Speed project aims at providing an affordable cloud-based BIM platform, a set of interoperable BIM tools, and of course, validate and standardize procedures for using these so that we can really guarantee energy performance improvements while maintaining inhabitants' comfort during renovations. And for us, this inhabitants' comfort is very important aspect. So jokingly, we always say that it's very easy to improve the energy performance of buildings. Zero energy houses, just disconnect them from the grid, but then nobody can live there. So for us, it's a lot about this balance of how much energy can you save while people still can live comfortably. The basic idea behind our project is really BIM Speed, the information highway. So we really want to create the required infrastructure that people who want to renovate buildings, who run renovation projects, all stakeholders together really can smoothly arrive at the final destination. And so the main thing that we started doing, and where we are quite far already, is then to look at all the little things that you need to do on renovation projects, and then assess where BIM can be used. And what you see here is, like, we call this our BIM use case tree. And so we try to really assess all little, and it's constantly growing because people have new ideas, and we encourage everybody to add new BIM use possibilities in this, right? And I don't show the details, but we will soon hopefully make this available also as an online database that you can browse, and then you can see what use cases and what phases of a renovation project and so forth, where you can use BIM and so forth. The second aspect that is highly related to this is, we want to make the ride as smooth as possible. And that has a lot to do with the different maturities of different stakeholders on the projects, right? And so it's a great thing to develop very advanced tools, right? And of course, we want to move whole Europe towards using these advanced tools, but we also need to be kind of being able to take their hand and move them towards. So what we are also very conscious about in our project is looking at the maturity and really, providing different recommendations, which tools you can use according to your specific BIM maturity. So not everybody will drive a Formula 1 Mercedes on our high-speed BIM speedway, right? And so that is another goal of the project that we have. And then, of course, there's a lot of work to do because the BIM speed highway is not paved yet, right? So in the first 2 years, and probably continuing in the next 2 years of the project, we spend a lot of effort into paving the highway in itself. And our major tool for that is the BIM Speed platform. So the BIM Speed platform is based on the French Croquis platform, BIM platform, and it is really a central repository for all the information. You can store all type of information there, files, and we add new services, so you can actually build services on top of it. Down in the corner, you already see a couple of services, and it has an open API. So the idea is that we can build up this platform along the project, and then allow smart and innovative software companies, including our partners, of course, to tie in their BIM tools. And the Crocky platform or the BIM Speed platform in the end, on top of it, will really provide this information highway where all different people who have tools to integrate, all users of information of the project can really tie in and manage all this information to get to a smooth ride. And then, of course, we need to kind of concert how people race on the speedway, right? So we are working on creating general rules, but also tying in general other things into the platform that kind of can concert all the information that's around there. So at the center, you already see the building smart sign. So at the center, we of course use the IFC standard, but we around this IFC standard, we're developing different ontologies like the Reno Inst ontology, where really thinking about knowledge you need to install components, knowledge the LCAC ontology, where we really want to formalize knowledge that you need to do a really LCA/LCC assessment, the BIM Reno ontology, where you really need to think of energy modeling and what you need for energy modeling and all the knowledge. On top of that, we are integrating existing standards, ontologies, frameworks, databases like CityGML, GBXML. We have integrated different weather services, which is of course very important for energy simulation. We integrated ThinkSport and IoT platform into it, and in the end, we also provide guidelines and a BIM passport for projects, which can actually track the information you have for a project over time. Yeah. And then finally, so this is the base work, but we also, because we are a research and innovation project, we also want to allow some of our drivers at least to do some cool stunts, right? And so we are also developing new innovative tools that are probably not used in practice, that might take some time till they're implemented, but where we see this is really, if we can use these tools on renovation projects regularly, we can really significantly improve the way how these projects can be handled. And I don't show many of these tools. Maybe I show more in the next presentation, because I just wanted to give a brief overview. And if you have more questions about the project, you can always ask us. But for example, we developed a machine learning tool that can automatically detect components, HVAC components of your building based on photographs of the building. All right, so this is one doing condition assessment of buildings, of course. One of the major problems that we have in the renovation projects is really understand which HVAC equipment is installed in your building, which plumbing equipment is installed in your building. So we can, with good confidence, always get towards the geometry of the building, and it's questionable and how big a detail we need the geometry. But if we can understand the building systems, we can really design much better renovation options. So that is one of these tools. The second tool is really what we call our behavioral digital twin. So on the project, we kind of have a different approach to the digital twin, which is usually perceived as like a 3D model that only links to data collected to the site. But of course, we collect data from the site. We do measurements. We do dynamic measurements of buildings under use. We do subjective measurements of people using the building. And that, could be linked with a BIM. And most of the digital twin approaches that we see do that. But on BIM Speed, we move further because we then link this to building simulation energy. And building simulation, we mean not only energy, but also lighting and acoustic simulation. So to understand more about the comfort, and actually basically creating a digital twin based on a building simulation model that is calibrated according to the data. And that really allows us to digitally twin the behavior of the model, right? And then do predictions that hopefully help developing better renovation scenarios, and also being able to already provide evidence during design phase which scenario will have the best impact on the building. couple of things that we're gonna do as we move forward. So this is mainly all research work done, and we said in the second part of the project we want to move more to innovation. One thing that we want to start, or we will start, and hopefully it will be big and work really well. We have in 2021 we want to start our BIM speed competition. BIM speed competition means that we really want to have projects that renovate, use BIM, show how they use BIM, illustrate how they use BIM, ideally use our tools, and they probably must use our platform, obviously, because we need to collect data from them to rate them and so forth, right? And this will be just open for all organizations, building projects and so forth in Europe. And we hope with that we can really make a big impact. And, you know, it would be great if you want to join the competition, and, you know, we will announce it, of course, widely. And yeah, if you want to understand more about the project, you know, you can just go to our website. If you want to stay engaged, register for our stakeholder community. And if you have questions, you can always contact me. And hopefully that was a good first insight introduction to the project. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Timo. Very interesting, and I'm looking forward to hear more about ontologies, especially related to simulation and how you link the BIM model to the simulation ontologies. And also, I'm a big Formula One fan, so I should see how we can take that speed furthermore. So, thank you. And now we will move to Sebastian from. He will present the project of AECOO, and he's also a sister project. And just as a highlight, sister project means that they are all funded under the same call, so they all have similar objective and similar KPIs. Sebastian, can you confirm? Yeah, now we can see your screen.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
No worries.
Okay, I hope you can see it in full screen now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, okay. We do.
Good. So, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sebastian Scholze. I'm from ATB, and we are coordinators of the AECOO project. AECOO is energy-aware BIM cloud platform in a cost-effective building renovation context. Yeah, and as Mohammed said, it's a sister project, and therefore let's see that there's not too much overlap with the other projects. Some basic data about our project. You can see here the partners. I will not go into details, but I think it's a quite nice mixture between technology partners, universities, research centers, and a pilot case. So our main objective, to provide effective and affordable BIM tools that accelerate the whole renovation lifecycle, and thereby from data collection to project execution, and then finally the delivery, and thereby taking into account consideration energy efficiency and comfort parameters, and involving all actors. So that's including a big bunch of, let's say, actions and tools. And as a baseline for this, we see, or we believe that we need some models. And one of these models is energy efficiency model. The objective here is to design a building energy efficiency model that observes the climatological diversity of European countries and their regulations. And on the right side on this graphic, you can see that we are considering many aspects like location, because it's different from Northern Europe to Southern Europe, how this energy efficiency will be gained. Then we are thinking on taking into account internal loads, the set point of temperatures, ventilation, HVAC systems, the geometry and the envelope of the building, of course, renewable energies. And then the idea is to do these energy efficiency and also on the next slide, the comfort simulations by using the Energy Plus tool. Similar as baseline, we see that we need comfort models. You all know comfort is really something subjective, but the objective is to design a comfort model that observes also diversity in European countries and thereby taking into account indoor air quality, thermal comfort, acoustical comfort, visual comfort, and of course energy efficiency. But especially these thermal comfort, acoustical comfort, and visual comfort is of course very subjective. What does this mean? That there's a clear need that we need to involve real dwellers in order to be able to make such simulations. Okay, these models we see as a baseline for the tools. When we look at the BIM Cloud-based solution, the objective is to design a BIM Cloud-based solution with features, services for all the stakeholders in the renovation lifecycle of projects. But what does this mean? I think most of us know what is the key problems. Key problem is data acquisition in the beginning. Often you do not have a BIM model. That's not too easy to create these models. Therefore, we have tools for the data acquisition, surveying with LIDAR photogrammetry, automatic semantic segmentation and classification, and then tools to generate such BIM models in an automated way. Tools to enhance such models with additional BIM resources. And of course, what I already said, these energy efficiency and comfort simulations. We are planning to have end users feedback using augmented and mixed reality and also support for construction crews. Then automated generation of tasks for such construction crews and continuous monitoring of facilities. Regarding the pilot validation, we have our pilot case is Junta de Extremadura in Spain. They have around 14,000 flats for social housing, and what's quite nice, they have these two, what you can see on the screen, these two experimental buildings where we can really do renovation actions. We can do the data acquisition. So with drones, we can fly around the building and collect data in order to be able to create these BIM models. Then we can do the simulation of different renovation options and also create these renovation tasks. And which is very good, these buildings are already equipped with a lot of sensors, so we can also execute these continuous monitoring tasks. Currently, we are in, let's say, the second phase in of the project. We are in the phase of development of tools. So the first releases are just finalized now. And what you can see is the general architecture. We have a layered architecture, data sources. There we have different sources we see. One is BIM objects, then the photogrammetry and LIDAR information from IoT sensors, weather stations, and from GIS systems. And then we have on this yellow layer, we have we call it AECOO engines. These are the backend services, for example, this image processing and reconstruction, a service to create a BIM model. And then for the front end, we have different applications to support the stakeholders in the renovation process. I wanted to go into a little bit more detail into one of these applications. That's this data acquisition using LiDARs, and how to create an IFC BIM model based on these point clouds. We are using their drones, so unmanned aerial vehicles. You can see on the slide an example of one of the drones. It is equipped with 2 different types of cameras and with a 3D LiDAR scanner. And with this drone, you can fly around the building to create a point cloud. So here you can see as a screenshot an example how this drone is manually flown around the building. And now I hope that this is working. Can you see? I hope that you can see the video. Maybe one can quickly confirm this.
No, we cannot see the video.
Oh, you cannot. Okay.
Can see it.
Can.
Oh, you can?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
Okay. You can see here that the drone is flying around the building. While the drone is flying, the UAV acquires data, so it takes photos and LiDAR scans. And here you can see how this point cloud is looking like. So you can see that the drone is flying around. This data is saved on the drone, and after the flight, we can extract the data from the drone. But what you can see here, you can identify the building, but you can also see that this is still quite far away from an IFC building. Okay, switching back to PowerPoint. These point cloud data and the pictures we are taking using the drones, we are pushing into this image processing and reconstruction service. And we are using these 2D pictures for segmentation inside the point cloud. So left side, the 2D pictures, then in the middle, the 3D point cloud. And based on this, we are able to create such a IFC model, what you can see on the right side. So this is what I wanted to show you in 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Christian. Very interesting. And now we will move to another interesting project by Otelia from Fraunhofer. She will speak about the project BIM for EER.
Yeah, so Mohammed, if you could show the presentation.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Just one second. I think you can see it now, right?
Yeah, can somebody acknowledge? I'm looking at another screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you, Mohammed, for organizing this very interesting workshop. My name is Otelia Kaitul, and I'm the coordinator of the BIMer project. So BIMR stands for BIM-based Holistic Tools for Energy-Driven Renovation of Existing Residences. I represent Fraunhofer FIT and have also in the call some of my BIMR colleagues, so the technical manager Georgios from Hypertech in Greece. With us also Feneretti, scientific manager from BIMR from Cyprus, Suite 5, and the dissemination exploitation manager Theo from Merit in Greece. So these are some of the partners. The others you can take from the logos in the slide. We have a great team. So I'd like to present the BIMR project to you as being set up as a kind of a response to 3 challenges in the building sector when it comes to energy efficiency driven renovation of buildings, as the majority of the project is presented here in this session. So the number 1 challenge would be, since we are talking about the building renovation, this has come up also from other colleagues already in the presentations, where should the digital models come from, right? So to be the renovated buildings. So within BIMR, we are creating tools that will automatically generate enhanced building information models. So you will see a bit of the tools like in the next slides. But coming to the challenge number 2, so this is related to the fact that we all acknowledge that BIM's geometry part is mature, but we are kind of lacking on added value BIM-based tools. And this is also one of the responses of the BIMR project. So we are creating tools like, for example, the renovation decision support system and the process management tool I'll talk in a bit to add value and boost also the adoption of BIM in this context. Number 3 challenge being, well, now that we have the digital models, or we are creating tools to be able to generate them automatically. And we have also the legacy systems, as you see in the picture here on the bottom. How do we assure that that every stakeholder in the construction and renovation projects, and they are quite a bunch, how we ensure that they can exchange information between each others, between this variety of tools, whenever needed and in which format whatsoever, right? So the this third challenge is addressed by the project through the creation of the BIMR interoperability framework that we are going to get to know a bit more than everything else that I will present, because my colleague Feneretti is making a demonstration then in the next section. So all of the BIMR tools are going to be tested and evaluated in two pre-pilot sites that you see in the upper part of the picture. So we have a pre-pilot in Kripis and another one in Athens. And the project is also having 2 pilots. So one is in Spain, in Bilbao, and another one in Poland, in Warsaw. And all the tools are going to be validated and evaluated also against a baseline, which is defined within the project. So far, as a very broad overview about the project and its building blocks that you are seeing here in the picture in the right. And I would like Mohamed to go to the next slide. This is already the last one also, where I show this same picture in a bigger format, and would like then to come to present you very shortly some of the tools of what we call internally the BIMR tool chain within this big building blocks. So an initial version of each BIMR tool has been released in the first period of the project. The first period ended half of the year, so it's June this year. And now in the second period, we are concentrating in working on the integration of among several tools, also on launching them in the pre-pilot sites that I showed before, and also on bringing each of the tools to the next level. So one of the tools that you see up in the corner, left corner, is the Reno DSS. So it stands for Renovation Decision Support System. It is an intuitive BIM-based software that explores the renovation options. It evaluates also their impact on the building performance and kind of guides the user through various alternatives towards the optimal choice for renovation, considering boundary constraints. And these boundary constraints, they can be, for example, size of intervention. They can be also budget constraints, targets, energy savings constraints, and so on. So at the moment, what the BIM Reno DSS can deliver is enabling users to calculate and to visualize energy. So to visualize and calculate a couple of bunch of KPIs, and these KPIs are related to sustainability, to energy consumption, and also to there are also a couple of economic KPIs. So the user can also, with this tool, set corresponding target KPIs for the renovation, and so the system would then suggest renovation measures based on those KPIs that were set. The user can also automatically generate renovation scenarios and can kind of study them and decide on renovation measures. So in summary, one could say that the Reno DSS can supports and also guides the user in choosing the right renovation measures. And after that, we can come to the next tool, which is called PWMA Toolkit. So this stands for Process and Workflow Modeling and Automation Toolkit. So this provides, as the name says, also a set of the tools to the user can design, can verify, can simulate, execute, also monitor and analyze renovation process. So it's all mapped into there. It orchestrates the tasks of the renovation process and also provides several UIs for all the key stakeholders of the process to cover all the phases of the renovation. So one use case, for example, that would be served by this is to accurately schedule activities and make assessment of their efficiency through simulation and verification. So after the tools at the top, I come to the middleman, so to say, which is the interoperability framework. So this problem has already been mentioned in other presentations. How to ensure that seamless and secure data is flowing, so the exchange is taking place among individual BIMer tools and also applications, and as well as with external legacy system that always will exist. So I will leave this part for the interoperability framework. It's quite an innovative tool that we are building here, and because of its importance, also we've found it's interesting to show a bit more about it. And this is what my colleague Fenaretta is going to do in the session of innovative tools. So the last layer, so to say, this very high level building blocks that we have is the digital model creation. So we have 4 tools within BIMer to serve that purpose. Depending on the time, I think I have still 1 minute. I would talk about 2 of them and let you to be informed about the 2 last ones through our brochure that we make available in this session. So the first tool that serves the digital model creation is the so-called Scan to BIM tool. This is a software solution that takes reality capture data, so it's 3D point clouds and pictures, and will be based on those inputs that will generate as is building information models of existing buildings. So the tool deploys innovative data processing techniques, so including also machine learning, to deliver IFC models that can be used for assessing building energy performance and also for planning refurbishment. So the tool is developed using open source technology, and it manipulates data in open formats, IFC and E57, for example. The second tool that's taking care of creating a digital models of existing buildings is the so-called AECOO. So it stands for Augmented Reality Enabled In Situ Building Feature Annotation. So this is made to be used during the renovation process. So the goal is to present BIM 3D visualizations and especially annotated information on site to architects, to contractors and site managers through augmented reality interface. So in our case, we are using HoloLens 2 to do the job. The two other tools are approved. So this is about profiling residents using usage of building systems, and BICA, the Building Information Collection application. But those two tools I would leave you to be informed through the brochure, so the handouts that are attached to the presentation. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. It's very, very nice work, and I'm looking forward to hear the other technical presentation about the interoperability framework. I think it's one of the biggest challenges. And
yes.
Now I will move to Asir from Technalia.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello, just 1 second.
You have to give me control.
Yeah. And Asir will speak about the Reno project.
So can you already see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, so hello, everyone. So I'm Asier Mediavilla from the Technalia Research Center in the north of Spain. And I'm going to speak you about in general about the RenoCep project and specifically about the RenoCep collaboration platform, which, I will also make some demo after in the second part of the session. So now I will just stick to some slides. So the starting point or the background is quite common to the previous project, so it's nothing new here. That we all know that the current situation is that few buildings are still replaced yearly, and this rate has to be increased by 2050. And all the problems that retrofitting processes have about if they are expensive, complex, etc., that already have been mentioned. Also, one aspect that is important is that they are disturbing to occupants, and it's important to make a renovation process less disturbing as possible. And then finally, of course, all the lack of information about the existing conditions, which leads to a lot of uncertainties, inefficiencies, and this leads to poor decisions during all the process. So what the project aims to achieve is, these figures here in cost, energy reduction, and also the reduction in the time in the renovation process. To do so, this consortium has joined in the project. And this project is not only about software or about tools, but as you can see here, sorry, we are, the proposed solutions is oriented in these 5 points, which can be even reduced to 4. One is the process, so to define a decision-making methodology. Then with that, to develop some plug-and-play envelope solutions for renovate real buildings that we are going to apply in a real demo cases. And then development of different software tools for simulation, monitoring, and knowledge-based, which all collaborate around a central cloud platform that is the RenoCep collaboration platform. About the methodology, it's a collaborative approach. So we have identified the different phases here. We cannot see very well, but all the different phases in the renovation process, the different actors and the different tasks and tools that are involved. and how in each task the decisions are made, evaluating different KPIs or different aspects of a building. Then one key aspect is to develop solutions that are the lowest, that provoke the lowest disruption as possible. So plug and play products for the facade, and that should be easily replicable and adaptable to different markets around Europe. One important thing is that the renovation should should make increase the property value as one of the main, let's say, KPIs. We can see here, well, about the products and demos. We have developed in the project. We have developed different units for the facade, some opaque units and some units with built-in windows embedded, even with photovoltaic units provided by several providers like Foci in Italy or Becanheun or other providers in Europe. Then we have made some mock-up tests in laboratory. Then in a real scale building, we have in Tecnalia, the cubic facility, and then they are tested in 2 demo sites in Durango in Spain and Voru in Estonia. That's more or less how they will look like. About the tools, well, all the process is triggered or managed by different set of tools. So SAIP is a software provider in Spain, which has provided tools for the different step of the process. So starting from the acquisition with the point clouds, they provide a tool to which is IFC Builder to create a BIM model based on this data. Then a configurator which on top of the BIM model of the existing conditions, you can easily draw and configure your solution with the available products developed in the project. And then the different simulation tools like SAIP-Term or budgeting tools, job control tools, and so on. So we cover the full range from the data collection to the logistics. Then we have here also a knowledge-based engine, which is still being developed. The idea is that to support in early stages decisions about how, which is the best option for renovation about the building and how the value of the building could increase, analyzing huge amounts of data like climate data in a given location, or EPC certificates that in some countries are also available to query online. So making all this data available, the knowledge base suggests some scenarios or some renovations. And then a monitoring tool which allows to follow up with some sensors the renovation and compare the pre and post situations and all the gains or the savings in different KPIs. All this is coordinated in the collaboration platform, which is developed by Tecnalia. So we can see the platform like in 2 ways. In the left, a platform that supports different users during time to collaborate and to manage in a collaborative way all the process, but also as a central point or common data environment where all actors and all the tools can collaborate together and share information. We have developed decision-making modules and dashboards and embedded IFC viewers, and also some REST APIs to standardize the communication with external tools. So making a zoom into the platform. We have different modules around the platform. One is the workflow manager, which allows to handle all the phases and tasks in the project, even to send issues and requests between users and make control about the status of each of the aspects. Then we have embedded viewers both for building and district scale. One is based on IFC and the second one is CSUM viewer based on KML. And we also developed interoperability services among them. And as we also will show after in the second part in the live demo, the IFC viewer, we can also query and make analysis on the data in the IFC and make some color charts and so on. and the external tools are linked through different APIs. For example, SAP tools connect to the platform, as we see here. So they have developed a plugin in their tools that they can log into the platform, access data, get the IFC files, make simulations, and so on, and send back the data to the platform. So the same information that we can see here in the plugin can be seen if we log in the platform with the same username. So yeah. Well, a second way of integrate the tools is just by pure UI integration. So for example, the monitoring system can be accessed because they are both tools based on HTML. So it is seamlessly integrated in the workflow in the platform. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, one of the key aspects of the collaboration platform is that we can, well, we differentiate like two different workflows. One is the high level one, which is what we call we can see it as the decision loop. So well, all the actors share high level information for the decision making. And then there is a more detailed loop between for example, the simulation tools. All the different actors running simulations or detailed designs can collaborate and make accurate calculations, but then all the decisions. So we have to translate all these details we have seen here in more high-level information, like here, that can be easily understandable by all the actors in the process. And with all this information, we can create different scenarios. So it's quite similar to the previous presentation. So we can make ranking or select which are the preferred KPIs for the project, and depending on the ranking, some scenarios are scored best or worst. So, well, in order to make some communication, we see here, apart from the REST API, we have developed some interoperability between IFC and simulation tools. The SAP tools is based on an internal engine based on Energy Plus. So they take the IFC, they run the simulations, and then we have some routines to read back the results and then merge all the high-level information for the simulation results back into the IFC to be able to visualize in a more intuitive way. Yeah, this is a zoom about the KPI and the scenario manager. So we see here that there are a huge range of KPIs defined in the project, but in a specific renovation projects, the user can click and select the KPIs that they are available, put the targets here. For example, the target can be 50 kilowatts per hour per square meter of consumption. And then in order to be comparable, for example, consumption with water, with appearance, so in order to compare KPIs with for very different natures, what we have is a method for normalizing all these KPIs between 0 and 1. So the consumption is normalized between 0 and 1, following a configuration that can be done by the user itself here in this interface. So you can tell for you which is the best possible value of the KPI and the worst one, and even all intermediate values. And according to the results, all the normalization between 0 and 1 is going to be made here. This is also, well, this viewer here in the left, which is the same as this. This is a zoom about this IFC viewer. So it's an embedded IFC viewer in the web. We use 3 GIS technologies, a JavaScript technology that you don't have to install any plugin. So we automatically import IFC models. Even we can create IFC models from a district scale and, well, make some queries. We have some interfaces here to make queries for different properties in the IFC. For example, in this example here, select me or paint me in red all the spaces that I don't know, the use is not residential or where the consumption is higher than 100. So you can make visual queries in the model. or even comparing the same, to join in the same viewer 2 or 3 or more different models, like the building as it is and the building after renovation, and compare and so on. In order also to as a proof of concept, in order to see that this tool is extensible and can accommodate different developments, we as Tecnalia also participate in View4Rent, the first project explained before. So some of the developments we have made in that project is about automatic way of generating some conceptual IFC models following a parametric approach when you don't have anything at all, so for a very preliminary decisions. And well, this platform allows to extend or to embed other web-based tools here as an extension, with the only condition that they follow the same API. So it's a way also to demonstrate that different results of different projects can be combined also in a single platform. So that was everything from my side. Thank you. And well, I will show you hopefully something more in 1 hour or so.
Thank you so much. Very interesting. And I will move quickly to Sphere project. Edward Lucas from IDB will present his project.
Hello, thank you so much. Let me share my screen.
Okay, we can see your screen.
First of all, does it work?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. First of all, I'd like to thank to all of you, okay, for providing this opportunity of sharing what we are doing, and sometimes in parallel, but I think that there is a lot of opportunities of cooperation among us, okay. So, and having these moments inside these sustainable places, and thanks to also to Antoine from View4Rent, I think it's really important. Sphere is from all the twin projects that we are talking. I think we are the different ones. Okay, actually we were in another topic. We were the only one project granted, and we were aiming not to. Obviously, we were talking about BIM, okay, but our focus should be on digital twins and the creation of the digital twin environments. At the end, I think that we are targeting several aspects that is quite similar to all of us, okay? And those are so the creation of a platform, okay, that will allow a vertical integrated process, which it means that will consider and will put in contact with all the stakeholders across the whole life cycle of our assets. In this case, obviously, we are talking about buildings, and providing the building specs and real-time data as a single source of truth, which is not easy. And obviously, we are using the usage-centered design as a methodology to consider what are the necessities of all those stakeholders, okay, and how we can provide the best benefit, okay. So because at the end, I think there is something that is important, is if we cannot provide real value to the users, we will not get proper feedback. If we don't have this proper feedback, we will not get the actualization or the updating that we really need to keep track of how the building evolves, okay? It's important to mention that in a Sphere, we are focusing not, let's say, big critical infrastructures, we are targeting residential buildings, okay? So this makes this even more difficult, okay, if we are considering, for example, with other approaches that are currently happening nowadays in other parts in the world, like might be in UK with the national twins, okay. The consortium, I think is well known. I think there are some partners that could be found in other projects, in other of the twin projects, okay. It's coordinated by IDP and with the technical help of BTT. We have 4 pilot sites, 2 for new construction and 2 for retrofitting. This is important to say that how we are going to achieve a digital twin of a retrofitting. Probably we will not have a complete digital twin, okay, but at the end it's important that if we are doing a major retrofitting, we can use this new information that we are putting into to start the creation of a whole digital twin in the future. Okay, so at the end, what we have to pursue the whole time, okay, is avoid to getting all those digital streams stacked in a shelves. Okay, so we can use it. So I know this is quite, shocking, but at the end, it's important to say that in the levels of that we had, okay, we were targeting methodological levels, okay, to the creation of a building digital twin environment, and also an integrated life cycle design. From the technical point of view, we were focusing on a platform as a service. The idea of moving to a platform as a service is to being able to federate with other platforms, because at the end, I think there are so many platforms, and I'm not just talking about the twin projects that we are nowadays here, but I'm talking about a lot of private and well-known platforms that are currently, let's say, flowing the market. Okay, in terms of the ontology, we are also looking for a top approach for the ontology and an open API. After this, let's say above this platform and let's say all these integration services or synchronization of the data, we are providing apps which should be the value, okay, to the stakeholders. And here we are distinguishing in between building digital twin prototypes. So we are talking about design and construction phase, and building digital twin instances. So once the handover has happened, okay, so once we have the asset information modeling and obviously the demonstrator. So focusing on the architecture, that was the first images we had, okay, but what we had clear is that a digital twin environment should provide a decentralized data storage, services and apps, agreed API, open data formats, and life cycle approach. That is crucial, okay, at the end. Sometimes we forget that these digital twins concepts appear as product life cycle management. So we have to start to think in our buildings as a products, okay, as connected and smart products. That's the current architecture which we are working with, okay. In here you could see the shared components, okay, that it's, let's say, inherent to the platform as a service. Obviously we have the data, okay, we have to get the geometric and asset data. This could be a highly structured data, and this is thanks to BIM. And this is where all the tools that I have been seeing before my presentation they are crucial, okay, and mostly if we are targeting for the renovation wave that we, let's say, at least I'm expecting, okay, as a human being. But we also need to get other non-structured information that should be, let's say, at least we have to keep track of this. This could be cloud points, this could be images, even scanned papers, okay? So, because at the end, we know that construction is fully heterogeneous in the aspects of digitalization, embracing. In terms of time series, obviously we need to get sensor data, but this goes forward, okay? So we could have sensor data time series, but we can have also time series coming from simulations. And there are simulations that we are going to want to keep track of what we were simulating, okay, along the project is evolving, and obviously even in the operation and maintenance. In terms of sphere services, we are having, as you could see here, there are a lot of apps. Some of those apps, like for example, what BSF is currently evolving, there are going to be apps that are going to be working in the future alone, okay? But obviously what we would like is to use the Sphere API, okay, so we can provide these services. And actually the spirit of the platform is to create, based on this open API, that we can create like a marketplace that people could develop their own apps, okay? So we can provide more and more value, probably with business models that nowadays are even unexpected to us. Obviously, we have also to pair with external sources, okay, that could be from other sensor data coming from other platforms, or like, so this is why I think that the federation of the platform is really important. That's another view, okay, of the same coin, okay, and this is like providing the minimal services required for a digital twin. So we need the asset data and geometry. For this, we are going to use the NeoNext portal, which are built upon graph databases, which are really quick and they work very well. We are using the sensor platform developed by BRM, okay, as an IoT, but also providing with the file server. The Sphere components, obviously, we need the authentication page, okay, a single authentication page, a 3D viewer. Obviously, we can have more viewers, but we have to provide one. Data security, that's crucial, and libraries. And for the, let's say, tackling of the whole information, we need an ontology on top and the authentication and authorization. Okay, and that's, again, the optional services depend, and this will depend on the project, okay? In terms of the ontology, our approach, as I told before, is, and I will extend afterwards, in the second presentation we have in a while, okay? So a top model ontology. So we have been searching in literature, trying to establish a criteria and try to get a selection of ontologies and trying to combine them, because at the end, I think nowadays, like platforms, there are a lot of ontologies, and I think that we have to be at least we have to try to make them to converge. Okay, and based on this ontology, and obviously in the user specifications that we have been working with the pilots, the Sphere focus of building digital twin API, okay, to enable IoT sensor data to be captured, communicated, and validated by a Sphere tools within the ecosystem. And this has been with several talkings with Building Smart International, even although they are not partners, but I think that we have to do this aligned with them. Okay, and actually, I think it's important to mention, and I will again develop consistently. Okay, we found that what we were providing should be gathered, okay, in terms of all the open knowledge that we were generated should be gathered by an association. Okay, so we have created the Building Digital Twin Association based in Belgium, in Antwerp. Okay, and I'd like to as I told, I will explain much longer afterwards. Okay, but I think it's important to mention that it's fully open, and that, okay, I'm nowadays the president, but obviously this just holds the partners of the Sphere project. But what I would like is to extend that, okay, as a tool for all the twinning projects. Okay. For the tools providing services, okay, the analysis. There are two examples of the analysis that we have done, okay, for the users inside of the pilots, okay. And I think it's something that I think it could be interesting, because obviously with 10 minutes I have not time to explain much things, okay. But this is part of the services that we would like to provide, okay, which we are testing in TNO's pilots in Netherlands. So we can move on from the IFC, okay, to EcoSim Pro libraries, okay. So we can, this is not for energy, that's for forced ventilation systems, and we selected that for their simplicity. COVID was not present at the time, okay, but nowadays it proves that how important this might be. Okay, actually, we are developing a human value model dummies. Okay, we are thinking in even 30 categories. Okay, from kids to old people. Okay, and we are even working in a multiplexer. Okay, so we can put the people around the buildings, and based on that, okay, we can go. Okay, for this is a classical configuration using a BMS. Okay, but our idea is to moving, okay, to a real-time simulation that could be coupled with the sensoring data. Okay, so it could provide not only calibration of our sensorization, not only calibration of our simulation. Okay, but it can help us to trigger alarms or to to do a lot of new uses. And actually, based on TNO's old BIM bots, okay, we are even proposing what we are starting to call SimBots. Okay, that could be an easy way to make easier or let's say reachable for engineering companies like us all the simulation, which nowadays is like too far from what we are doing. And I wish that I will not trespass the 10 minutes. Okay, so I tried to go as quick as I could.
Yeah, thanks, Edward. And as we see that we have very nice solutions have been presented, but one of the most important barriers is education. And now we will move to a very interesting project. We'll have a presentation by Elizabeth O'Brien about a project called BIM ED. Elizabeth, can you confirm that you are listening?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm just sharing the screen. Hopefully it'll work.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Perfect, great. I'll make it into a full screen.
Yeah, okay.
Do you see the full screen?
No, we see the notes.
You see the notes. Let me swap these over. Display settings. 1 second.
Yeah, now it's fine. Thank you.
I have full screen, but I do not have my notes. So you just have to swap these over. Now this should work. Do you see the full screen now?
We still see the notes.
Oh, why is it not moving over?
You can just switch the screen from under the play button. You can choose the other screen.
No, it won't let me move over.
No, you have to switch the screens because you will not be able to. Otherwise, you have to make it a full screen.
Yeah. Display settings, swap presenter slide view.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Can you see that now? Perfect. Okay, I will go as quick as possible because I know we are ahead of time. So hi to everyone, really pleased to be here today. I will be presenting the BIM ZEED project. I am going to do some speed talking so we can catch up on some time. So this project is an education for zero energy buildings using building information modelling. So as I said, my name is Liz O'Brien. I'm from Limerick Institute of Technology in Ireland. So I apologise if we have another hailstorm because I think it's literally about to come over the roof. Larissa from the European Architects is also part of this project as well. And thanks very much for the great presentations. I'm already putting things in my head for good examples there that can be used for future trainings as well. So quickly, we'll look at the overview, the learning units, which are being developed at the moment, the trainer, which will start soon, and the BIMZ impacts. So let's look at BIMZ. So it's funded by an Erasmus Plus under the Knowledge Alliance for Higher Education. So it's a bit different to the previous presentations. And this is aimed at cooperation for innovation and the exchange of good practices. So there's 9 partners. They're from Ireland, Croatia, Hungary, Spain, and of course, European Architects based in Belgium. So the project came about because I don't know if you do know or don't know, NZEB is now mandatory in Ireland. So every new building we complete has to be NZEB compliance, and every deep retrofitted project, which is 25% of the surface area, has to be NZEB. So there's a huge change, in particular in Ireland, let alone the rest of Europe. So the focus on training needs in the construction industry is a paramount need. So we're addressing 3 main challenges. 1, to overcome skills gaps and mismatchings, and to improve employability, and to upskill the educators, the trainers, the SMEs and stakeholders in the construction industry. And there are 6 objectives addressing these challenges. Identify the knowledge and skills gap in BIM and NZEB within higher education, vocational and the structural construction sector. Update the knowledge and skills of educators, trainers and SMEs in the field of BIM and NZEB. There's a huge gap which came from our research within that field, especially with the educators and trainers. Well, maybe not surprisingly. Stimulate development of new training and education programs in these fields, which can be integrated into existing higher education and vocational curricula. And that's one of the main innovative parts of this project. We transfer knowledge of BIM and NZEB within these countries and to other countries, and strengthen the links between educators, industry, SMEs, research and development, and strengthen employability for these trainers and SMEs. And there's 5 stages. First one is the gap analysis, which led to a roadmap, which in turn fed to the 12 learning units. And this dictated what we're going to provide content-wise and learning outcomes within these learning units. And they're for higher and vocational levels. So we're looking at European qualification framework of 5 to 7. So also to establish an e-learning platform, which I'll show later in the workshop. So I won't be talking much about that today in this presentation. We then pilot the learning units, and eventually hoping next semester to incorporate them into higher education programs and vocational programs. And we'll also be doing private trainings for the SMEs. To ensure sustainability of trainings across Europe is also another issue. So gap and skills analysis used online research and a number of surveys and directed at industry educators and trainings. And the results led to the development of the learning units. So the key questions: which BIM skills are important for NZEB delivery and design, and which aspects of NZEB delivery and design can be improved with BIM? 2 big questions, and we need these 2 to merge as one. Now, obviously that separates because it's done the opposite way it should have. So let's look at the learning units. There'll be open resource in various modes, online or blended, and on-site and in class, which is extremely important for workers because they cannot take time off. Most of them are extremely busy. Short and flexible, so they can be used as standalone modules, be grouped together as 3 or 4 learning units, or be integrated into existing curricula. They reflect the skills, needs, and now in the future, and developed to EQF 5 and 7, as I've mentioned, and enable mutual recognised trainings right across Europe, not just the 4 that we're looking at. And this should strengthen links between the entire industry. So these are the actors, basically the entire construction chain, educators and trainers. So let's look at the learning units. There's 12 learning units with emphasis on NZEB and green construction, with the inclusion of BIM and other digital tools. So we're not just looking at BIM, we're also looking at other digital tools that we use, such as AR, MR, and also mobile phone devices, such as Trello, etc. So the content of these learning units reflect the skills, needs and gaps established from the gap analysis research and from other projects across Europe. Each learning unit is divided into bite-sized topics to enable 1 to 3 hour training sessions. This gives flexibility to how the course is delivered. So it can be part-time, full-time or online at their own pace. And this online, especially with the COVID situation at the moment, is a greatly sought after form of training. It's theoretical, it's practical, which is essential in particular for construction workers. It's self-directed learning, reading, and the self-directed activities involved. So using group discussion forums, because group work is essential, BIM tools and digital software, and gamification for the assessments. These I'll be showing in the toolkit later on. So there are a number of BIM tools available, but the important thing is all about the principles, and the principles remain unchanged regardless of which tools we use. In Revit, we use that in Ireland and Spain. Allplan, generally it's used in Hungary, and Croatia use both. And Navisworks seems to be a common one for not the designers, but for other people within the trades. So each learning unit has 8 to 10 hours of structured learning and 24 to 30 hours of self-directed learning. The normal ratio here that we use in Ireland for higher education is ratio 1 to 3, which explains the hours involved. To make sure we have suitable trainers on board, we're holding a number of trainer-trainer online workshops. These workshops will cover 4 topics. So we have an introduction to BIMZ, pedagogical approaches, learning unit content and delivery. And remember, there's 12 learning units in total. And then we'll be doing monitoring and feedback, because we have a pre-questionnaire as well as a post-questionnaire at the end of each learning unit. So we can update and improve the process as it goes along. So the learning unit will first provide video sessions for 3 of the learning units, because we have them completed, and then the other learning units will be added before the next trainer-trainer session, which we're hoping possibly be the end of November, beginning of December. And trainers can choose which learning units they're interested in depending on their target group. So they may decide to choose 2 of the learning units they want to use for training, or possibly even 1. But it should be noted that all trainers must complete learning unit 1. This sets the scene for the other learning units. So if you are a trainer and you're interested, you can take a look on this website for further details. This is the last slide, I think. So the impact on BIMZ. So on a short-term basis, the impact is to set up the skills gap roadmap and to develop 12 learning units. We're in the process of doing that and providing access to the e-learning platform. And this is going to be piloted across 4 countries. As I say, Hungary, Croatia, Spain and Ireland. The medium-term impact will be to integrate the training material and content for standard delivery in higher education and vocational organisations, and increase capacity building in construction industry. In the long term, or medium long term, improve attractiveness to the young and women into the construction industry, it's been proven many times in the research that bringing IT, bringing digital aspects into construction encourages more young people and women into the industry. And it's been tried and tested many times in Ireland, and it's working quite successfully. So learning units rolled out across Europe with mutually recognised learning units and programmes. That's also a intention. And just out of interest, LIT are partners in the Sector Skills Alliance Construction Blueprint, which is the big construction Erasmus Plus funded project. And LIT, we are in charge of the training and the e-learn platform in this project. And we hope to include these learning units onto the online platform to be used for curricula across, at the moment we have 12 countries, 21 partners, plus our additional ones. So we're hoping to get this across, which is a great way for sustainability. So when this EU learning platform is established, it's a great opportunity for all projects to provide sustainability to their trainings and also their products if we can include them into the trainings. And on that note, that's all from BIMZ, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Now we will move to DigiPlace. Riccardo Viaggi will present for us his presentation. DigiPlace is a broader project that covering a bigger umbrella of all the other projects.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Mohammed, for introducing me and for having us on this presentation. We indeed are a wider project, as you correctly said, and now I hope you can see my screen properly. So we are. And the slides indeed. We are indeed an Horizon 2020 project which is financed under the heading of digitizing European industry, because we are the first ever project to work towards the digital industrial platform for the construction industry. So indeed, we do not focus exclusively on BIM tools. We do not focus exclusively on energy efficient renovation, but we are a wider consortium working towards the digital transformation of the whole industry. I personally work for the European Federation of Manufacturers of Construction Machinery, and my organization CECE is the leader of the work package on communication. This is why also on behalf of the whole consortium and almost on a last minute on behalf of CSTB, which is a partner leading the key work of the reference architecture framework, but I will get to that in a second indeed. So as I said, our project started in September of last year and will go on until May 21, and it is financed as an action CSA in order to digitize and transform European industry. And as I said, it is the first consortium. It is the first funding that the Commission gives to the digital transformation of the construction value chain. And there were a lot of other calls and projects to transform the other value chains, farming, ICT, banking, but we are part of the consortium that is for the first time trying to do that to the construction value chain. We have, as you can see, 26 partners. A quick overview of what they are. I think that compared to other projects, our consortium has some key features. It has, of course, a very relevant academic partnership. Politecnico di Milano is the actual coordinator of our consortium, but you have, and I'm sure you recognize some of them in the slide. We have some relevant academic partners, but there is also a very impressive representation of the industrial ecosystem. We have contractors, we have SMEs, we have architects, we have engineers, we have manufacturers of products, manufacturers of construction machines and equipment, my organization, and also the representative of the client. Indeed, we have also an interesting public element within our consortium, as we have the competent ministry for building and housing of Germany, France, and Italy. The idea of the project is indeed to try to reach a consensus on what we can agree is the road towards the development of platforms, of digital platforms in construction. And of course, we do not come and we do not pretend to be the first platform on the first digital platform for construction, not at all. We know there are many out there. And actually, the first, let's say, spoiler alert on our objective is that we do not want and we do not aim at creating one single additional European super mega platform for construction industry. The idea is to create a reference architecture framework of what an ecosystem of platforms should look like for the benefit of the construction sector and all the partners and the members of the value chain. You know, is a very diverse value chain. We are going to then develop this RAF, a reference architecture framework, and I'm saying we are going to because we're right in the middle of that activity. And this RAF is supported by a strategic roadmap. So these two are the key deliverables of our project, on which we're working right now, as I said, and they are the core of our work in Work Package 5 and Work Package 6, with which we are busy right now. So as I said, developing the RAF being the core, being the most relevant deliverable, this is the core of the work that CSTB, one of our partners, is busy with right now. We have just concluded task 5.1, which is an analysis of all the use cases that the whole consortium and also our committee of stakeholders has developed, has highlighted as useful use cases to bring forward the digital transformation of the European construction value chain. Some of these key use cases relate to BIM, relate to some of the topics which is your bread and butter, which is the core of your projects, but many of them go much further than that into site management, into machinery efficiency, points that we bring forward from our side, but also to other areas of the construction value chain and of the construction activities. This task of 5.1, which is the vision, which has just been concluded, as I said, is now feeding into work package. Task 5.2, which is the definition of the required architecture. We are now developing the RAF, which is a set of, let's say, guidelines and elements to ensure interoperability of the platforms, of the existing platforms, be them public, be them private, be them sectoral or intersectoral. And then all this work is going to feed into Work Package 6, where we will define the strategic roadmap, which is a little bit, a roadmap of how to get there with which tools, in which timeline we want to get there. So as I said, the DigiPlace reference architecture framework is indeed a comprehensive set of common guidelines to build, implement, and deploy digital platforms for the construction sector across Europe. These different guidelines have all these elements you see in the light blue boxes, and some more which we are now considering as part of task 5.2, as I said before. this work has been prepared by the identification of the use cases that I mentioned before, which were grouped in these 5 categories that you see here. This is, of course, a summarized version of it, but on our website you can see more, and I will in a moment point you to one resource that we have for you to be involved into this. So we have these 5 working groups, 5 working areas, from common language, interoperability tools and standards, to rules and regulation, public services, the role of course, the public authority, also, for example, the approval of building permits. We have the working group and the working area of data and knowledge sharing, where also tools such as training and sharing of best practices, sharing of data coming from training and best practices is tackled. We have, of course, a very important element of environmental performance, how to show, how to comply to that, even in elements which I'm sure none of you ever considers as part of the construction industry, but for example, the energy and the resources used in the life cycle of a building site, such as, for example, what we believe is very important as well. For example, fuel consumption of construction machines on site, even before certain professions get on site. And then, last but not least, those more business relevant use cases that are the bread and butter of private software developers. This is let's say an identification of what we believe should be the strategic roadmap, the roadmap for the future achievements. And as you can see here in the light blue frame, we believe the roadmap to be a set of delimited, measurable, and time-stamped actions that we believe should be undertaken between now and 2027. And of course, this date is not chosen by chance, because we believe that the next financial programming period of Horizon Europe will be the key to make all this work. We are just starting to work on those, but we want to try and structure this the work for the strategic roadmap in three key elements. We first want to promote a network. It's basically the conclusion of DigiPlace. We intend to create a stakeholder ecosystem, a community. We want to promote the result of DigiPlace. Then we will be working towards developing and deploy. And then we are going to try and experiment and capitalize with also pilot projects that will be financed, hopefully, in the next financial period. I would like to point you towards our website, digiplaceproject.eu, for you to be aware of what we are doing. And last but not least, invite you to join our DigiPlace community of stakeholders, which is the best way to keep updated on our project. And with that, I concluded, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are quite late on the time frame we have, so I would skip the break, the 10-minute break, and I will go directly to the second session, which is the presentation of the innovative tool. So for each project, from the project that we have seen, there are some state-of-the-art tools that is developed to solve specific solutions. And I will start with the LOD Lifter tool by Bruno Fez from CSTB. Bruno, are you ready?
Yes, I hope so. So you can see now my screen. Okay, so thank you, Mohammed. Very happy to start this second session. The first session was really interesting. So my name is Bruno Fies. I'm from CSTB, and I'm going to present you this tool, the load lifter, that is developed in the frame of the BIM project. I will go through some slides just to present you where is this tool within a global renovation process that we have defined in the frame of our project. So we have defined 5 phases, and the load lifter is at the end of the data gathering phase, just before entering the diagnosis phase, where we will use BIM files in order to perform some analysis or to test some renovation scenarios. When we are talking about data gathering, I think that with the previous presentation we had, we have seen a lot of things. Here, I'm just mentioning what we have done with the French pilot, which will be used in the demo I will show you in a few minutes. So we came in summer 2019 to near Paris, in Rueil-Malmaison, in order to acquire the geometry and the layout of the French pilot building. So we were using camera, we were using trolleys with LiDAR system. We also were using a smartphone in order to acquire this geometry and the data related to this pilot through different steps in order to at the end, at the third step, in order to have an IFC file representing this existing building to be renovated. And this is where the load lifter take place now as a fourth step in this data gathering process. In fact, the level of detail of this initial IFC file was very poor, and the idea of the load lifter is to enrich it in order to make it rich enough to be used by simulation tools. So for that, we have developed 2 main functionalities. One is an automatic retrieval of information that are stored in external cadastral databases. And the second one is to replace the poorly defined existing entities by new ones taken from catalogs. And these catalogs are produced according to the recent ISO 23386 standard. So just to recap that before the demo, the ambition of this load lifter is really to bridge the gap between poorly detailed IFC file generated via scan to BIM technologies or other technologies, and the simulation tools that need very specific information in order to be able to perform analysis. It should be also an online service available via our one-stop access platform, and you will see we are using Croquis. And the functionalities of this load lifter are mainly this automatic retrieval, connection with external cadastral databases, and also the fact that we can replace existing elements by new ones taken from catalogs that are also developed in the frame of BIM Foreign. And everything is done in a linked data environment, so everything is stored in a triple store. So the demo will be very simple. We will open the original IFC file that was generated from the 3 first steps that I have just described, and then we will enrich it with cadastral information, the load lifter one. So we'll see it's very raw for the moment. It's still a work in progress. And then we will use the second functionality, the replacement of the original elements by new ones, more details coming from catalogs. So now it's a live demo. I hope I won't go for a blue screen. So here is my one-stop access platform, and maybe some of you will recognize the Croquis environment. Myself or colleagues of mine have already uploaded some files here, and I have this one, which is the Résidence du Nord, which is the name of the French pilot, that is here as IFC file. And I will now use the load lifter in order to enrich it. So I can click here, say, okay, I would like to access the services that are available under my platform. So I have a list of services available, and I will choose this one, IFC Load Lifter application. I don't want to click on it. I have already opened it. So here it is. So this is my load lifter environment. So first of all, my building is displayed here. And first of all, I would like to retrieve the cadastral information that are linked to this building. So for that, I'm just clicking on a button in order to retrieve them. It means I'm just providing the location of the building in order to retrieve a set of information that for the moment it is a bit raw. But well, it's in French, but we can have a description of the number of flats that are inside the building and the layout of these flats in terms of number of rooms. We have the composition of the load-bearing walls, for instance, it is stone. We have here the material that are on the roof, tiles. We have the total surface. We have the number of stories. We have the year of construction. So you will see it's not really explicit for the moment, but okay, I have retrieved a given set of information about my building. Now it's the second step. I would like to enrich it. So this is my initial building representation. I can click on the different entities. For instance, here I have selected a window. On the right-hand side, you have the actual description of this window, very poor. So, well, okay, it's an IFC window with a GUID and a name. And here on the left-hand side, you have seen there is a kind of catalogs that has appeared where I have other windows, and I can select one occurrence here saying, okay, I would like to replace my actual window by this one. So just go here and I can assign now this new window. Again, you will see that the properties now are richer than the original. I can do the same for the wall. And here, because I have selected a wall, you can see on the right-hand side the description, the poor description of my wall, only two properties. And here, now I have a catalog of products that are corresponding to my wall. In fact, it is a list of insulation solutions that I can apply on my wall. So again, I can see, okay, I would like to apply this one to this wall. And basically, this is done. But wait, okay. And you have seen the property are there, and everything, as I'm clicking here in this interface, everything is written in the triple store, so all my changes are persistent. Okay, so from a functionality and usability point of view, here I have selected single elements, but I can also say, okay, I would like to apply my changes to a set of elements. So I can select here all elements that are at the same level. For instance, if I click on this window, okay, now all the similar windows on the same level are selected, and I can say, okay, now apply the changes. No. Apply the changes to the wall set of windows at the same level. So basically, these are the functionalities that I would like to present you very briefly. If I go back now to the presentation. In terms of conclusion, would like to say a few words about the ongoing work. As you have seen, so for the load lifter one, the automatic information retrieval, we are going to work on the translation of the fields that are coming from the database, from the cadastral database. But also we are going also to think about how to exploit the information that is coming from this cadastral database. I mean, what are we going to do with information like load-bearing walls are made of stone? Does it mean a certain value for the thermal transmittance or things like that? So we have to progress on that. And what to do also, the second point is what to do with the load lifter too, what in terms of export capabilities. For the moment, everything is stored at the triple store level, and we would like to make all the changes available through APIs or through export format. We are thinking about GBXML, for instance. So these are the ongoing activity for the coming year. And this is it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bruno. And now I will share my screen to present a video for the tool of BIM MMS tool from BIM for EER project. And if you can introduce it, Bruno or Cecilia, would be great. Yes.
So just a few words. Well, Cecilia, I don't know if you want to, but well, yeah. Just a few words. Hi, Cecilia. You can introduce. I link a little with my presentation. The BIM management system, of course, is the core platform in the BIM for EB toolkit. And but I leave Cecilia just to introduce. Please go.
No, it's quite simple. And the video we prepared, it's a bit long, but we'll introduce you to all the main functionalities of this platform. That is an open and interoperable data management platform that enables information to be gathered from different sources in an internet-based environment throughout the building's life cycle. We choose this tool because it is a sort of tool that collects all the others of our projects. So we can go through the video easily to understand how does it work. It works as a single source of information for the renovation project and provides a common environment for all the BIM for AB tools developed by the project itself. In this way, architects, engineers, and construction companies and technicians, owners, and end user will be able to work in a collaborative way across the stages in renovation project. The platform main functionalities you'll see in the video are a common data environment, able to store and share data between users, a 3D IFC BIM modeler, and data visualization viewer, a set of 6 BIM tools such as BIM for AB Fast Mapping Toolkit, BIM Easier, BIM Occupants, BIM for AB Autoras, BIM CPD, and BIM Planner. We'll explain all these tools better tomorrow in our midterm conference in the afternoon, so we hope to see you there also. And we can start with a video now if you want.
Thank you. Can you just confirm if you listen to the voice and see the video?
At first login, the user have a guest role with no access to.
Is it clear, the sound?
The voice is a bit is not very strong. If you can make it louder, please.
I think this is the maximum.
Okay, let's go through.
Any functionality. A BIM management system administrator will enable his role, the access to the project, and the functionalities needed. Administrators have access to the user and project management to set roles, permissions, projects, and ontologies. The users requested the role are visible in the table waiting the authorization by the administrator. He can enable all requests, discard or remove the existing roles. User can also be enabled as administrator too. Project BIM can also invite users to a project by email. It can assign roles, selecting from a list. All invited users will receive a welcome email and then will proceed to registration as seen before. An inhabitant role is also enabled to be assigned to a building zones. The zones are building locations as rooms where the inhabitant lives and will be used to map the user to a set of devices. This is how can be created a new resource in the BIM management system. The most common use case is a designer that wants to upload a BIM model to share the design to the owner or his colleagues. There is a wizard that step-by-step guides the user to compile the data necessary to create a new resource in the BIM management system. We define the resources, selecting the scope, category, and typology. In example, we have an IFC model of the building. Then we can compile the title of the resource and description. The user can also set a property of an ontology class to describe the resource and linked data relationship. Then define the location of the resource in a map with a latitude and longitude set as a geolinked data. The resource can also be linked to an existing IFC in the BIM management system. Finally, a file is selected for upload and status is set. Our resources appear in a resource list where can be filtered and can be managed. Some status workflow, like changes from work in progress to shared status after a review session or a validation input. From the list can be selected a resource that we can see its detail following the same wizard seen before. The resource file can be downloaded and opened in the computer. In the same way, a user can upload other kind of resources like PDFs, images, videos, etc. In this example is a sketch drawing. This kind of resource can be uploaded following the same wizard seen before, but assigning the correct scope, category, and typology that allow to classify the items. A good practice can be also set an ontology property to the linked data view. Another example of a resource is the logbook. The logbook stores all the information of the building during its life cycle. It has a specific scope in the BIM management system. The logbook is organized in groups of information with different fields that need to be compiled and viewed by different users, like the end user, inhabitant, or the owner or the professional involved in the building. The data fields in the logbook can be written by different users, taking into account their role in the project. There is a set of role permission on the fields that allow to write only specific roles and set a read-only mode for others that are not authorized. This kind of setup is defined to make possible to keep informed some parties while allowing to edit some others. Also, logbook is a resource and it can be linked with other resources, ontologies, geolinked data, and will be set with the resource status. seen before, a resource can be geo-linked. There is a specific functionalities in BIM management system that show all geo-linked resources created in the project. This functionality allows to open the data to the geographical information systems. All geo-linked resources contain information about latitude and longitude set on the resources. The BIM management system have functionalities also to include directly information as linked data, creating resources that can be directly compiled by the users, assigning existing ontologies, selecting the classes, and defining the properties for these classes. Storing and sharing so much information needs functionalities that allow also to search a specific kind of resources, filtering by type, description, data, status, creator, and so on. Every resources can be filtered with this field by the users. Another main functionality is the BIM viewer that allows to navigate through the IFC models with our viewer. The viewer allows some moving around the model, select the entities, check their properties. A tree view allows to check and select items, looking down the relationships between objects, going through the building, the stories, the types, and the single entities. The right panels show the properties read directly from the IFC file and stored in the BIM management system database. There are also functionalities to hide, show, isolate, and zoom into the elements selected. The viewer can show the building zones and spaces, very useful to share the data related to the sensors and the renovation works that will be used for the entire BIM 4AD toolkit. A useful tree view allows to select these zones and check the data linked to them. As for example, the sensors measurements of temperature, humidity, and other metering systems associated to the space, and other linked data that refers to the locations like activities, planning, and so on. About the linked data, a live SparkWell query is done for the item, and it can show the resources in a relationship with this item. When the data is coming to grow, this will be useful to see the relationships between the foundation of linked data concept. A SparkWell endpoint is available in the BIM management system, where the user can find the resources writing a SparkWell query. The result will be viewed as table, raw data, as a graph, and finally, if the data is related to an IFC model element, can be listed also with the element with are related. This endpoint exposes the virtuoso database and its functionalities. The same queries could be done by the other tools also via API calls. The example shows the query in the model uploaded in the BIM management system, where we are asking about the name of spaces and locations. The BIM models can be viewed but also downloaded, not only in the original format, but also in two RDF ontology types, IFC OL and BOT ontology. About the ontology, there is a viewer that lists all the ontologies used and stored in the BIM management system. Graph viewer allows to see nodes and relationships, their properties, and links to the details in the repository. Ontologies can be added and stored giving a name, a URI for the TTL, and a URL for the documentation. There is also a specific page in the BIM management system web portal that is used to store the KPI. Another section is dedicated for the API documentation. And finally, a page where the user will find the tools, a link for the web page to access to the specific functionalities. In this example, you can see how to access to BIM CPD for the BIM management system through the BIM CPD main page. That's all. Thank you for attention.
Okay, that's great. A very interesting tool, and I think we will have some questions later on. Now I will move quickly to just a second. Ferinati, sorry if I'm pronouncing wrong the name.
No
for
worries.
the interoperability framework, I will give you the control.
Thank you. Please confirm whether you're seeing my screen right now. You should be viewing the PowerPoint, and please confirm if you see it in presentation mode as well right now.
Yes, please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. I am Fenareti Lampathaki. I'm the Technical Director of Suite 5, and I am the Scientific Manager of the BIMer project, as Otilia already anticipated in the morning. In the next minutes, I'm going to provide you with a demo of the interoperability framework that is practically the backbone for the communication between all the different BIMer applications. But first, before showing you the demo, I would just like to take a couple of minutes actually to introduce you practically what is the rationale behind the interoperability framework, what it entails, what it includes, and what was then that was sought through this solution. As it has been acknowledged many times till now, one of the biggest problems that all the different applications, all the different stakeholders that are involved in the architecture, engineering and construction domain, they are suffering from the lack of seamless building related data exchange. We have many different data, not just building data modeled in an IFC model. We have weather data, energy data, occupancy data in OBXML, just to name a few examples. We want to make them all interoperable in order to be able to utilize them in a seamless way. In order to address such a problem, we designed the BIMer interoperability framework that is practically and its operation is practically fueled by different ontologies and data models in order to create, in order to ensure that the data that are going to be exchanged through the interoperability framework, they are going to be understood in a common way. And the interoperability framework practically allows both BIMer applications, but I would say also third-party applications, as you will see in the demo I'm going to show you later on, to act as building data providers to provide data to the interoperability framework, but they can also act as building data consumers in order to retrieve data from the interoperability framework. In order to do so, both of these roles, either they act, any developer acting as a data provider or a data consumer, he needs to access the interface we are going to see in a few minutes in order to ensure that the data they intend to apply or retrieve such collection and retrieval will be done to their own terms and according to their own preferences. In order to ensure that, we have provided, we have developed actually 4 different components. The building information collection and enrichment component intends to ensure that the data are timely collected, they are effectively managed and processed by the interoperability framework. They are collected through different ways, either as files or through APIs in a scheduled manner, or once the data that have been collected, they are properly modeled and understood in a common way by the interoperability framework with the help of the building semantic modeling tools that are also extended in order to ensure that the ontologies are properly managed. They are transformed into more flexible data models, and their life cycle is always managed in an effective way and consistent. And on the other hand, when we are talking about consuming, retrieving data from the interoperability framework, an application needs to utilize the functionalities offered by the building information query builder that allows them to define what are the data they really need from the data that are available to the interoperability framework. The information secure provisioning is practically the component that ensures that different access policies that have been set by the different data providers are enforced at real time in order to ensure that nobody will have, no application and no developer will have unauthorized access to certain building data that are available in the interoperability framework. Upon having this brief, let's say, explanation of what we are providing, I just want to take another few seconds to explain that behind this interoperability framework that is built based on state-of-the-art technologies to ensure that we can effectively handle both big data and small data in an efficient way for all partners involved, for all applications actually involved, and in a performant manner, we have in mind scalability, extensibility, in order to ensure that we have as many ontologies and data models that have been modeled in Beamer utilized in without, let's say, any problems, extending the scope to weather, to occupancy, apart from the typical building data. And also we have in the back of our minds the exploitation aspect, that this interoperability framework needs to offer added value not only to our own Beamer applications, but also to any third-party application that wants to leverage the interoperability framework offerings. So without any further ado, I'm going to show you a demo of the interoperability framework. I have opted to show you a video rather than a live demo in order to stay at the time limit we have in the workshop. So I hope you can see the video right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks for confirming. So this is the interface that any developer that wants to provide data initially to the interoperability framework or retrieve data from the interoperability framework needs to access. When he wants to upload data to the interoperability framework, he needs to create a new data collection job. I'm just creating a new job just to demonstrate to you how easily this can be done. He needs to define whether the data will be collected or whether they will be also mapped to the specific common data models followed in the interoperability framework. The reason we are offering this option is because someone can upload data as files, an IFC file that should be handled as a file, or different other files that need to be handled as files in the interoperability framework, or he wants the specific data that are uploaded through a file or through an API to be properly mapped to the different data models and ontologies offered by the interoperability framework. So the different steps are enabled. I select to upload data through an API. Different authentication details and options are provided in case bearer tokens, JWT tokens, or custom authentication is needed in order to retrieve the credentials. I'm just showing the example with an open weather API just to show you an example how easily can configure the data collection. By providing the URL, we identify the query parameters. The API key is handled as a sensitive parameter, so it is just displayed once once and then it is encrypted. We define the schedule according to which the interoperability framework needs to call the specific API and retrieve data. I am defining a schedule every day, twice a day I want the data to be retrieved. Unfortunately, in the video, you cannot see the drop-down lists. I'm mentioning that I want the data that are collected to be immediately processed. A test call is made to the specific API. We can see the response we get. I can select anything I want to be stored in the interoperability framework. And the reason for that is that we want to allow existing APIs that are already offered by any application to be utilized here, and to be able, the developers of the specific applications and APIs, to select what are the data that should be stored in the interoperability framework, rather than storing everything and making them to change in any way their own APIs. As a next step, in order to make this process more easy and let's say quicker, I have pre-created certain data collection jobs in order to show you what is happening. If I have already uploaded some occupancy data, and I'm going to show you how the specific data are mapped to the occupancy profile ontology and data model we have in Beamer, and how we are going to understand the data that are uploaded with different titles and so on, and map them to the common models. Initially, we select the specific model. Right now, just these two models are available as, let's say, full releases in the interoperability framework. The building ontology and data model, components and materials ontologies and data models are also on the pipeline to be included on the interoperability framework, for which I'm presenting you the initial, let's say, draft release that is going to be finalized in approximately 10 months from now. I have to select the basic concept to which my data refer to, and then I come across to the playground that I need to, as a developer, to provide more details about my data in order for the interoperability framework to know exactly how it should handle it. So on the left hand, you can see part of the data model along with its description. On the middle, on the playground, you can see that source data, that was the data that I had uploaded, the titles of the data I had uploaded of the records, and the common data model, the mapping that has been automatically calculated based on different matching techniques we have utilized. By selecting its, let's say, concept here on the middle, meeting duration and start timestamp, you can see the sample of the specific values below. And by selecting these two, I can say that they are referring to the related meeting space, meeting room in a space. I have practically executed again the mapping, and I can see by validating the specific mappings that I have performed that there are some errors, and these errors are because of the fact that I have mapped to a specific, let's say, value, the meeting duration, that needs a specific measurement unit. My data are in hours, so they will be converted in minutes that are in defined in the respective data model, in order to ensure that all data that are uploaded for the meeting duration have a common measurement unit. And a similar situation applies to date time fields, for which I need to provide the date format to be consistent with the sample data I had provided, and I need to provide the reference time zone in order for the interoperability framework to be able to do all the necessary transformations on the data that are going to be uploaded each time in order to be consistent in the same date time formats, the same time zones, to avoid any, let's say, surprises when someone tries to retrieve the data. Once this data collection job has been configured, then the data provider needs to provide some metadata to facilitate searching for the specific data by other applications and other developers. And he also needs to define what are the access policies according to which he or she allows access to the data he has uploaded. You can see an example of, let's say, some metadata have quickly provided. There are some generic metadata, some data that refer to the extent, temporal coverage, special coverage, specific building, specific period. I can set many different details. If I have mentioned that the data set I have uploaded will not be a public one, but it will be private, I need to provide specific access policies both for the users, other developers, and the respective applications. I can define access policies based on the username, based on groups, based on projects, and so on. And I can see the details at any moment about the metadata I have provided. And this practically very quickly shows that any application, any developer that has defined any application can define data collection jobs in the interoperability framework in order to define how the data he has they have in their application and they make available through an API or as a file, it can be easily uploaded to the interoperability framework. When the time comes that a certain application or a certain developer wants to retrieve data from the interoperability framework, we offer a search interface in which he can access the interoperability framework. It is available for both, either as you access as a provider or a consumer of building data. It's the same interface. There is no change, as you can see. The developer can search for the data he's interested in. He can select a specific building ID, specific space ID, whatever. He can mention that I want the data to have this type of property from the building, from the data models. He can mention, filter the available data sets to which he potentially has access according to different filters through a faceted search functionality we offer. Any data set, any asset that he finds of interest, he can see its details along with the data structure. And just showing a very simple example, he can select one or more data sets he wants to retrieve. In the next step, he needs to save the query in order for a unique UUID to be created and to be utilized for whenever his application wants to directly ask from the interoperability framework APIs for the specific data set. He can select from the specific data set what are the data that he's really interested in. If we had more than one, we would see them in a very similar way and pre-selected the common ones. He can select query parameters if he doesn't want to get the whole data set at once, but he wants to select specific parameters from the data as query parameters to just get a specific space, the data for a specific space ID or for specific duration, etc. There are guidelines how to generate an access token in order to retrieve the specific data and what are the exact endpoints to be utilized in order to retrieve the data. He can add any query parameters he wants, either let's say the space ID, either duration of the meeting, whatever. And in the last step, he can just test the query results. If he wants, he can provide just an example to see how, oops, I stopped the video earlier here. Anyway, what you cannot see is that on the right side, you could see the results, and depending on how someone wants to retrieve data from the interoperability framework, he has the full flexibility to define how he wants to retrieve data. The access policies that have been defined by the provider of the specific data asset or more than one data assets are always enforced every time someone searches for the specific data and every time an application tries through the API that I just showed you that is available for the specific query that has been created. Every time a query is made by an application to retrieve specific data according to the query parameters that have been set, they are always enforced as well to ensure that nobody will have unauthorized access to the specific data. So practically, our rationale behind this interoperability framework has been to facilitate any application that wants to exchange building-related data that are tightly related, let's say, to the building, or complementary information to the building, to be able to do so according to their own terms, according to their own preferences, and without enforcing them to make any changes on their own APIs on how they expose the data. And they can select how they can get the data from the interoperability framework according to their own preferences. If they want to select one data set, more than one data sets, how they should be combined, and what are the query parameters that should be utilized. Sorry for rushing a bit, but there were many things I wanted to mention, and the time was kind of limited. In any case, thanks a lot for your attention. And thanks a lot to Mohammed for organizing this workshop as well, and for giving us the chance to present our results. And that's it from my side.
Thank you so much. Very interesting presentation. If you can also send me the video, I can share it with the audience. And just as a note, I sent some links through the chat. So for some brochures and also some videos. We will move quickly. We are way ahead of time, way late. Like we are very late, way off the schedule. So we will move to the BIM ZED learning platform by Elizabeth. If you can, please try to be a little bit faster. So.
Okay, I will just start straight away and show the video. It was introduced already in the previous, so I think we'll just go ahead and start showing it. Can you see the screen?
We still see your background.
Okay, it doesn't seem to want to move off this screen. A second.
Okay, yes, now we can see.
It's this one, isn't it? E-learning platform. Oh no, it's the wrong one. No, hold on. It is the wrong one. It is this one. No, it isn't. 1 second. I actually sent it to you. Do you want to try and just play yours, or I have so many videos up here? Can you find it, Mahab?
No. Can you send me the link, please?
I sent you the link. It does not seem to want to move off this screen whatsoever. I don't know why. I have 3 screens, you see, and one of them is playing up today. Oh, yeah. No.
Okay, I can move to the next one and then come back to you.
Move up to the next one. I'll try and get it onto this screen.
Okay.
It's playing silly games.
Okay. Then we move to Asir.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I will make a quick presentation on not all, of all the aspects of the Renovation platform that we have mentioned before, but just the most of relevant aspects, since we are quite ahead of time or behind or late in the schedule. So, as any other platform, you can access this from an URL. You can log in with different users, and depending on your username and role, you can log in and see like different projects, the ones that you are allowed. You can click in anyone, and then on the left-hand side, you can see all the options available for any given project. So first, we have an user management system where you can invite any project, any user in the project with the roles, editor, guest, or whatever, and depending on the role, the user will be able to see the information or able to edit, upload, etc. And then we have like a common data environment or file management system. So we have you can upload resources or files of any type, and even you can following the methodology of Renovation, you can split all the information in even in different. Let's see, it works in different phases. So in planning, construction phase, so on. So even we can define a hierarchy of phases and then control the status of each phase, if it is finished, stopped, and so on, and change accordingly. So now it will be this one finished. Yeah. So and then we have also the projects, as we have mentioned before, can be split in different scenarios. So you can have some scenario for the current situation and then different renovation alternatives. And in each of the scenarios, you can have your own repository of files and so on. For example, you can have here in the main part all the information related to the project, which is not specifically to any scenario or any model. For example, the contract of the project, or a photo of the building, or I don't know, whatever you have, a building plan. In that case, we have also created, as mentioned before, a urban model in IFC with a GIS importer. So if you click here, you can see an IFC model consisting on multiple buildings. I will hide this a little bit. So each of these elements is an IFC building, and with the properties here, you can make queries by, well, I don't know, by use, for example, or category, commercial, cultural, or whatever. Click again, clean it. And we also support a georeference viewer based on KML. So it's the same concept, but using a cesium viewer based on Google Earth. So it's the same model. So we have internally an exporter from IFC to KML. So the same model is viewed in the real context. So you can switch to the orthophotograph to the street visualization, for example, and you can see exactly where the building is located. Then, for example, for the scenarios, as I have mentioned, we have a current situation and different alternatives. And for generating all this information, well, the BIM model has been created by an architect, but for example, to perform then energy simulations, we have used SciPy tools. So I think there is some quick video. Well, I will only show some 1 minute or so. So this is a video of a previous training session of SciPy tool. So in this simulation tool, which is called SciPy Term E+, based on Energy Plus, we have developed some plugins to the Renovation platform where you can log in, and once you do it, it will go faster. You can see all the available projects. Click on one, see the different scenarios, alternatives, download the models, so on. And once you do it, you make all the calculations here, results, and go back to the platform. So the same will be as if you log in here with that user. So you will see the same projects and informations and so on. For example, for the current situation, we have here, we support also the issues and request management, so we can send different requests between different users. For example, please make a simulation, provide the model, check this information, and so on. And for example, let's see, this is the architectural model before simulation. If we click, we can see it here and make well, any query as before. And then after simulation, the information that has been generated is, well, two things. In fact, from the simulation tools, we have uploaded the real report of the simulation with all the consumption generated in Sipiterm with, let's make it bigger. So all the, for each dwelling, all the energy demand per type, and then apartment, and then in the end, I think we have the summary, which is the same that we have imported in the BIM model. So if we click in the model after simulation, and we make some, well, let's hide. And for example, the spaces. So I don't know, for example, this will be, for example, the heating consumption, and I want to put it in, so green is very good, is the lowest value, and red is the highest, and like I want to create 5 ranges, and then, well, this will be the result. If we click, well, I will hide the walls, click in a particular space, the bedroom, somewhere in the end, well, I will make a zoom. We can see here the energy simulation results, which are the same that they were in the PDF. But of course, in this kind of view, it's better for a non-expert to visualize it and to make better decisions, or even to compare this map before and after renovation. So the same will be, so we can create the scenarios for after renovation also, and in this case we will have the model, the AECOO model consisting on the panels of the renovation, so which is this one, and we also, well, in the viewer we can add in a federated way different models, so we can just add a new model to the scene or replace the existing one. If we add a new model to the scene here, then we see both together. So that will be the panels, and that will be just the model, the building model. So yeah, let's go back to the well, since we are a little bit of time, I will go directly now to the scenario manager. So we have seen already the scenarios, and one thing that the user can do is in the target part here, click the KPIs that they want to visualize or compare, make a target value, and this scoring. Well, so you have a help document here, and it tells you how to fill in this table. It's we will like to do it in a more visual way, but at the moment it's quite manual input of these different ranges. So we can have increasing KPIs, like the better and the higher, and in this case the energy is the opposite, the lowest is the better, and we could have KPIs like this one, for example, the temperature or whatever. And then in the scenario manager, so here the user what configures the scoring for 0 to 1 for each KPI, and then in the scenario manager makes the comparison. For example, if we want only to, if we only want, the only thing relevant for us is the energy consumption, then we mark everything like this. And then the second alternative, which is the one with the lowest consumption, will be scored best. If the appearance is the only important thing, then this one will be scored the best, and you can make any configuration. Of course, well, KPIs like energy consumption can be automatically driven from calculations or for the energy simulation. But as a proof of concept, we have compared here a building appearance that, of course, there is no tool to calculate the appearance, but you can manually enter what you consider the appearance for each scenario. So you can click here and, okay, this alternative for me is good, regular, average, and so on. So, of course, you can always put it manual. In the future, if you want to add a new KPI to the comparison, for example, well, let's put some random values here. Save it, and if you go to the comparison chart, you will have some new KPI, and if you create a new scenario here, you will have a new column here, but of course with no value yet. You have to perform the calculations and fill in the table to make the comparison. What we would like in the future is for some the typical KPIs like consumption, cost, and so on, that these tables can be automatically filled in by the tools. But of course, this flexible approach can allow you to put any manual KPI and select which are the values and the scoring system to compare between them. We are also working right now with a knowledge-based engine provided by the University of Salford, which in very early decisions, in very early stages, can suggest the best scenarios according to the building location, the climate data, the energy certificates, and so on. So you can have at the beginning, okay, we suggest you to try and this scenario, but of course, for the moment, you can also put manually the scenarios that you desire, go to each one, put the different files, make the calculations, compare them. So, but yeah, in the future, a more automated approach will be nice. Also here, as I mentioned in the utility parts, we have embedded a tool that we are creating in the BIM for Rent project that allows you to create an IFC from scratch. So you can select a given location in a map here, and yeah, even by measuring in a map to put some dimensions, size, and so on. We also have some tool that allows you to embed this in a GIS tool to create the files that we have seen before. But yeah, that's for now what we are working. Additionally, I have another window here. Yeah. Another partner in the project is developing a monitoring system to compare the pre and post renovation of the building. For example, this is for the Tartu in Estonia and this project. So, and it is another tool, but we have embedded seamlessly in this web application. So you can enter through here and perform the analysis. So from the end user point of view, it's like a single entry point or a single platform. So he is not aware that a different tool is running. So I don't know, it's taking some time.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Faster, but in any case, that's everything I wanted to show. So I know that we are bad of time, so I can just leave my presentation for the moment here.
Thank you.
So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asir. And Elizabeth, are you ready, or shall I share? Or shall I share Larissa's screen? What do you prefer? Elizabeth?
Hi, yeah, I found out I just closed down one of my screens, so you should be able to see this video.
Okay.
Can you share me?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, we can see. Yes.
Great. So it's literally 10 minutes, and I'm just going to start the video.
Is there sound? We cannot hear. I think there is no sound.
No sound?
Yeah. No, there is no sound. I think
There's no sound. I can hear it. You cannot hear it.
No. Can anyone confirm, please, from the panelists?
I cannot hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We will just stop then, because if you can't hear it, then
yeah,
we'll save some time anyway. You can have these anyway. People will be available to look at this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, send me the link and I will share it with everyone. I'm sorry
yeah, I don't know why I can hear it perfectly. Okay, no problem. We save 10 minutes, lads. You're fine.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we can try again later if you prefer. And now I will move quickly to Timo. Are you ready, Timo?
Ready? Hey. And I will keep it very brief because I...
Not hear me.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I will keep it really brief because I didn't want to present a specific tool, but just give an overview about different tools that we developed. As I mentioned earlier, our project is not about developing some specific tools. So for us, tools are almost like demonstration projects that can demonstrate our platform, right? And so we developed a number of tools that I will just run through them. And if somebody is interested, they can contact us. And of course, you can try out our tools when we have the BIM Suite competition that we will start up. So, you know, connecting this with my earlier presentation, for us, the tools are just like, you know, doing some stunts, right? Because all the data needs to be connected on this information highway, and single tools in isolation will not improve, in our opinion. So what we work with SciPy, and somebody showed already SciPy, right? But SciPy is a great company, and they already have a lot of BIM-based tools that we have part of the project, and then that we are connecting at the moment, or thinking about how we can connect that to our BIM Suite platform. We developed a laser scan conversion tool, 3D Dash tool, that really can take a laser scan, and then we don't go to IFC here, and I hear already people shouting, right? But it's really meant to make things easier, so we created this directly to Revit, right? Because most of the people in practice actually work with Revit, and so you can just take a point cloud and directly extract surfaces with Revit elements. We created this interface to IoT platform, which is basically the ThinkSport. And so you already see the interface between the IoT platform and IFC, where you can create objects in the IoT platform, link them to data streams, but you also get them in IFC models. So what you see at the right corner down there are sensors actually in an IFC model. We have a GIS data provider, which you can use, and that's already integrated in the BIM Suite platform, which you can use to connect to different GIS data, pull different GIS data according to, you know, your project location onto the BIM Suite platform, and then you can work with this data further in GIS applications. We have a crowdsourcing tool to collect inhabitants input. So basically, you can create questionnaires for people that they can answer. Is it too warm in this room? Is it too, you know, loud? And so forth and so forth. So and we have some questionnaires already developed. We believe that crowdsourcing might be a really good way to collect additional data about buildings, to understand how they're used before the renovation. We have several tools to convert BIM to different energy simulation tool formats, including IDF for Energy Plus, but also This is an example to convert BIM to transit files. I on purpose don't show a 3D model because we don't want to have a 3D. We directly want to go from some input towards, the input files for energy simulation. Here's another tool that we developed, similar to something from the previous presentation. This is a multi-criteria decision-making tool, basically where you can select what are your kind of decision preferences. You see the criteria on the left corner on a project, and then you can rank different alternatives, right, according to the criteria and the weights of the criteria. And we have integrated that already in the platform of one of our partners, MetaBuild, who has a building energy optimization tool available. So yeah, and just like, because we don't have so much time, just like really broad, I would have liked to talk more about these, but if you're interested in some, contact us. We are developing more, so this was just a brief overview. We are looking for people who want to use them, and we are working on really integrating them now bit by bit into the BIM Speed platform to create this common information highway. And again, participate in our BIM Speed competition that's coming up in 21 if you're interested in using the tools and our highway. And also you can learn more about the tools in our upcoming industry day on 26th of November. I just put this in because I don't have much time to explain it here, but there we will talk more about the tools and the infrastructure we have. So that's from me. Not taking too much time. Sorry for the speed, but this is, going a little bit too long, I think. So,
thanks, Tim. Very, very efficient. Thank you. Now we will move to the last presentation in this session from Sphere about the digital twin new rules and definition. And I will share the screen with Eduardo.
Hello. Okay, now I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I cannot share my screen.
Sorry, I gave it.
Okay.
Now
so let's say if now works. Okay. So I know that I'm the. I'll try to be quick because I know that I'm the last the last barrier before leaving, and I think it has been a really interesting debate. But I think it's after so much information, I think it's better to go straight to the bone. Okay, so I want to focus, okay, not mainly on technical matters, okay, that we are developing, but in what I advance in my former presentation about the Building Digital Twin Association. Okay, at the end, I think as any association, it makes sense if we can spread and get more and more members. Okay, but not for the fact of having members, but with the purpose of coordinating the actions of this new ecosystem that is nowadays uprising. Okay, at the end, after seeing all the presentations, I think that more and more implicitly the digital twins are here. Okay, so and at the end, the mission of the BDTA as a non-profit entity is to support the open knowledge generated in the Sphere project. Okay, but it should be beyond that. And actually, I was encouraged personally by the European Commission, okay, to extend this action to the rest of the twin projects, okay, that we are here. So this is why I choose to be presenting that, okay, instead of focusing on more technical matters. Okay, because the idea is to generate an ecosystem for the mass implementation. At the end, if we are focusing into residential, I think that's a key of the digital twins in the European Union. Okay, The principles that we have developed is we should be open. Obviously, we should be ethical. Okay, at the end, nowadays there are another endeavors. Okay, probably the most visible one is the Digital Twin Consortium that has appeared during this year in the United States. I think Microsoft is one of the backers. Okay, but there is also other software companies like might be Hindrances or other industries. Okay, in any case, I think that's from the USA. I think that from Europe we should provide our view, and this is why I put the ethical. Okay, that we put the citizen-centered vision. Okay, because at the end, we as technologists, it's easy to just look at the technology, but at the end we are talking about our homes. Okay, so if we are going to use digital twins along the operation and maintenance, I think we have to think that it could be a digital twin of our homes. Reliable, obviously, circularity has to be implicitly in any decision taking that will reach to or will allow to reach the climate goals, and obviously provide an economic value based on all this. Okay, the working areas that we have defined in the BDTA, trying to avoid any overlapping. Okay, so we will not focus on standardization because, for example, I think this is something that Building Smart is doing properly, or there are other associations like might be the International Data Association, which is building from the Industry 4.0. They are building their reference data architectures that, for example, I think it's something that it would be really interesting to approach with the last presentation we have in the first block. Okay, so but we have to work in the methodology. With Elizabeth, I think it would be really interesting to talk about training, because at the end, we are nowadays even talking with PMI. Okay, I think it's a well-known association worldwide, because I think that these new roles could be a key for the implementing of the concept of the digital twins. Obviously, we need the data governance tools. Obviously, we are going to put in there the Sphere PA platform as a service, the open ontology, and okay, I did not write it properly, and the open BDTA API, okay, and which I will extend a little bit after this presentation, okay. And finally, which is more important, is to create the Building Digital Twin community. Okay, in terms of definitions, I would like to share with you those links, okay, with the QR code. Okay, so we can you can download the white paper that we created, or that we published on December last year. Okay, it was going beyond the Sphere project. Okay, and actually I think it was like this white paper was like the foundational milestone for the BDTA. Okay, and it's important to mention that, for example, the External Advisory Board, that people of the External Advisory Board of the Sphere project was collaborating in there. Okay, so these new definitions were based on the first definitions that we get from manufacturing. Okay, actually this image, I think it's based on the traditional image of the manufacturing, and actually it was developed by one of the persons who is coordinating the debate. Okay, so I will give you this in private if you want. Okay, so we will focus on the definitions, not of what is a digital twin, which I think it's probably burnt out. Okay, but trying to focus on our more traditional concepts, let's say, in terms of what kinds of digital twins might we have. Okay, so, and following Michael Greaves' definitions, we could go for the Building Digital Twin prototype, okay, which is the AECOO asset during the design and construction. Okay, and in the white paper, we are trying to tailor all these state-of-the-art and all these definitions from manufacturing industry, tailor them with the BIM state of the art and with the ISO. Okay, so the building digital twin instances is the digital twin when the handover has happened. Okay, so at the end is when we have the as-built documentations, which I think it's one document which is internationally adopted. Okay, in terms of aggregation, okay, digital twins are supposed to be aggregated. Okay, if we are in a chain manufacturing, okay, we are going to produce several instances of the prototype. Okay, and each instance should be linked through the digital thread. Okay, with their digital twin. Okay, so instance. So at the end, we can aggregate them, and we can try to bring that. Okay, to know more. Okay, about what's happening. Okay, but I think that buildings are something special because we can have what we define here. Okay, like horizontal digital twin aggregates that will focusing on getting several buildings, building digital twin instances or even prototypes. Okay, so we can aggregate all this data, okay, and try to go deep inside and put intelligence to this data. But at the end, buildings are a hinge in between appliances, or let's say objects of that could be inside of the container, which is a house. But they are also one of the important bricks of the cities. Okay, so at the end, the verticality that we can have in terms of aggregation might be another important axis. And any okay, and finally we have the building digital twin environment, which is this glue. Okay, that I think that all of us are nowadays trying to get. Okay, to connect all the stakeholders along the way. Okay, one thing that I think that we discovered, or at least that we are trying to put into practice with, or we are currently putting in practice with the pilots. Okay, is the generation of new roles. Okay, at the end, in our experience as engineering and architectural firm. Getting the designers and the engineers, let's say, getting into the deepness of databases and data governance is not something easier. Okay, it's not something that we can easily find. Okay, in such a professionals. So we thought that we need to create new roles. Okay, in the same way that 20 years ago. The thinking in having a BIM coordinator or a BIM manager inside an architectural company, I think it would be something really weird. So from our point of view, and this was one of the reasons of creating the Building Digital Twin Association, I think it's important that we can even try to certify these new roles. That this Building Digital Twin manager, okay, will be the person that will be in charge of the authenticity and quality of the data, and has to get experience and knowledge in tools for auditing the models, to explain to the BIM coordinator how they should be built, and based on that, it will be easier to hand to the rest of the professionals that would be inside of this team of creating and upkeeping the digital twins. So to bring value to the stakeholders, okay, along the way. Obviously, it's important to have experience not only in the data domain, okay, but in the construction process, and having also experience probably in legal, because that is crucial. Based on that, we also need a systems engineer expert that will help with the configuration. At the end, if we are trying to get the configuration of the digital twin environment updated, we need a configuration manager for sure. And to bring value to the customers, at the end, a digital twin environment, as defined by Michael Greaves, is pursuing two main targets, which is interrogative and predictive. So we can see that we are going to need a simulation manager, and I think that this simulation manager should help also in not only in providing a forecasting, but even helping with the creation of the coupling of the real-time simulation with the sensoring. And actually, based on that, is this professional should also bring a lot of new vision in how we are going to implement the sensors. Okay, so going to get a deployment of the sensoring in a smart building should be, or at least that's our vision, okay, should be tailored with the simulation and the real-time simulation we are going to do in the future. In terms of the data governance, I think I already shown the platform as a service. In terms of the ontology, honestly, after seeing the presentations of Cecilia from BIM for EV and Fenaretti, I don't know if I'm pronouncing properly, from BIMer, I think it would be really nice to have a talk, okay, because I saw that the approach that we have from our experts in ontologies in our project, we focus in getting a top model that will be specifying the ontology when starting the use cases, and that will be coupling mostly with the sensors. But I have seen with your videos a lot of interesting information that I think that it would be needed. Obviously, we check, that's the team that we had checked different ontologies based on a criteria for sensors, but also for the rest. At the end, what we have been doing is to coupling the sensors and the building ontologies and use and enrich them with object type libraries. That's the ontology developed by the SSN, which is the ontology developed by the World Wide Web Consortium. And the selected ontology has been bought, okay, also from the World Wide Web Consortium. And that's the combination of the ontologies that we have been, or that our specialist has provided, okay, for the properties of the platform, okay, and trying also to link that with the Common Data Environment initiative from the Building Smart. Okay, that's some screenshots from the platforms, and the result is that the NeoNext portal has been linked to the IoT platform of VRM. Okay, so we have here you could see a small capture of VRM Clarity, which can also support CityGML, and based on the Annex portal, we have this link. We will have more of this in future months. In terms of the creation of the building digital twin, let me say that I think it's the last one. Okay, we are working. I'm personally working to try to get the first building digital twin congress in Barcelona in April in 2021. That is not confirmed yet. Okay, but I like to say it in this gathering. Okay, so here you have more information, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eduard. And I apologize for that delay in time, and unfortunately will not be able to manage the roundtable discussions. And I will just leave 5 minutes for any questions from the audience or even from the speakers. So if anyone would like to ask anything, please turn on your mic and go ahead. If not, I can ask Georgios, because I saw interesting conversation about their tool. So could you please just give a brief Georgios, are you still with us?
Yes, sorry, I was muted. There was a question about the Reno DSS tool, that is the Renovation Decision Support System. And actually, the information that I provided is related on how we are calculating specific KPIs that we have decided to support within BIMer. And actually, what is really important and quite interesting in our methodological approach that we follow is that we are utilizing our backbone, which is the BIM interoperability framework that links all the information that is provided by the digital information capturing tools. And I'm referring to the Scan to BIM, other tools that annotate further information about specific building characteristics, occupant behavior modeling, and so on. And we combine all this information within BIM interoperability framework. Actually, the Renovation Decision Support System queries this information, and using data sources about material and components databases and applying specific rules, creates candidate renovation measures that are translated to modifications of the as-is building information, and automatically transforms and combines all this information to instance of our simulation engine calculations to report back specific KPIs. That's all regarding the Renovation Decision Support System. The other supporting tool that the BIMer provides is the PWMA. And the PWMA, it's actually to support the workflow and all the activities that are related to a renovation project. So after using the renovation decision support system, we have selected a renovation measure or different renovation measures to be applied to a building. These innovation measures are translated to a specific process and specific activities that should be followed by the workers that are responsible to perform the renovation project. So we provide support to the workers, but to residents as well, by giving some applications, providing some applications. The one is about the workers and support them during the renovation process by sending him notifications about the schedules of there is any change in the count plan. And the other one is about the residents, to notify him if there are hazard situations or there are activities that have been planned to be performed in their apartments. The tools that are provided as supporting tools in a nutshell are the Reno DSS and the PWMA toolkit.
Okay, that's great. Sounds really interesting. And I move to another question from Fernando, and Fernando also is one of our partners in BIM for Ren, and I think also as a project, I think. And he's saying, and take me to the most important question for also all our speakers, that we have many synergies, and so will be the next steps. So how we can unify our efforts and collaborate together somehow to let's say save some times and effort and to do that. And I think I would start myself in answering this question by saying that I think this webinar is just the first among others to come. And if anyone would like to add anything, please do. So I could direct the question to Bruno Daniotti. Can you please give me what is your opinion about what could be the synergies between the projects?
Well, I think at first it's important to have these opportunities like today to view what has been developed by the different projects, and it's a good opportunity to know more and to let's say to look for some possible activities. What is important is, if it's possible, to share in any case presentations and registration also for the other partners, because here we are representing a consortium with, for example, in my case, 15 partners, and I think it's opportunity to think about what we have seen and to focus our attention on some opportunities. I think that the common opportunities could be dissemination activity, communication activity as today, and maybe standardization tables. There I see there can be some opportunities. In any case, for example, tomorrow, if you want, there is another opportunity for exchanging information because of our workshop, and I hope that we will have other opportunities for workshops as today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A very very useful answer. And I think unfortunately I have to end the session because online sessions are not usually you cannot really extend them, and we are already 15 minutes ahead of our 15 minutes wasted already. So thank you all very much for your attention and for your contribution. I really appreciate all of the efforts, and I will share with you the materials and the videos and everything. And thank you again, and I will end the session. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohamed, for the organization.
Thank you all.
Au revoir.
Thank you. Bye.